Music matters. Brandon Mack, Butane baby.
Yes, sir.
The new era in the building. Multiple piss breaks will be had.
Oh, yeah.
Micheladed up. How are you, gentlemen?
Already took one right there.
Yes, sir.
I'm great.
How's it taste? Tastes healthy?
Just how I thought it would. Beautiful.
Yeah.
We got a whole peanut gallery for this one, man. The whole city of Sacramento is in my living room right now.
Should we shout them out?
They're like
Yeah,
the
shout 'em
live audience doing laugh tracks.
I know, huh?
You guys have to make some noise right now.
Make some noise.
Wait, I'm going to tell a joke. I'm going to tell a joke, and you guys have to, like, laugh and shit. Ready?
Do it.
The crowd loved it.
Nice, nice. Hell yeah. How's LA treating you so far, gentlemen? You've been down here for like a week, you said?
Yeah, since last Thursday, leaving this Thursday. And it's been super nice. The weather's beautiful, at least in Long Beach. It's not today. It's super fucking hot outside. But
Yeah, it's gross. We were talking about this before, but it's literally 10 degrees hotter in the valley than anywhere else at any given time in LA. I mean, that's why we're doing this one in the living room. You guys are, what, living room act number 3, I guess? Living room act, yeah. Interview number 3.
we love living rooms.
Yeah. I do miss the studio, though, man. Every time we do an interview not in the studio, it feels a little wrong. But what was your guys' main objective coming down here this time? Was it just to hang? And I was talking about you talking to you about this before, but it's like, I feel like the entire city of fucking Sacramento is in Los Angeles right now for whatever reason.
You guys were the catalyst for it, honestly. We're just trying to be out here, like every 3 months or so, and just like find things to do, like way ahead of time. Like we're gonna, well, actually now we're coming back next month because I think we're kind of just getting addicted.
Nice.
But it was like we got the interview locked with you, and then we just tried to plan a bunch of other things in a week span.
Sick.
Yeah.
That's totally how I was when I first started coming down, like when I was still living in the Bay too. It was very much like come down once and then everything just like it was like I'd come down one time and I get a bunch of opportunities because of that time that I'd have to come back for. And then I just realized I was like at a certain point I was like, if I live here it might make a bit more sense. But I mean, it's interesting right now, I think, what's happening in Sacramento specifically, because it does feel like, at least for the first time in my lifetime, or at least maybe since I was paying attention, there's like a really, really huge underground happening right now. I mean, a lot of the people who are like here right now, like you guys, Euthanasia, Teo Man, Iguayaka, like so many dope artists like coming up around you guys right now. Do you feel kind of like the energy from that community in Sacramento right now? Because it feels like there's a huge tight-knit thing going on.
Yeah, it's like in Sacramento there's so many creatives and shit, and like we're all connected, and it's just cool. Like we're building a big ass community of just people that make shit, and like everybody knows Sacramento got it. You know what I mean? We fucking got it, and we're all about to come up, and it's gonna be beautiful.
Yeah, I've been really feeling the community, and just it feels like we can accomplish so much more. Everybody kind of being here all at once. Like Roderick will be like, oh yeah, there's this thing we can go do, and then we're like, oh, there's this thing we all do, and then all come together. And then it's just great having friends that are equally motivated and interested in what you want to do, and you genuinely get along, like besides music, besides business. But then we just love working together, and we've been working with all these people here for a while, years now.
Family.
Some people different amounts of time, but yeah. So it's like super comfortable, and we never like. It was never like a pressure that we have to make something together. We can hang, we can make something together. Comes out good, doesn't come out good, we don't put it out, whatever.
Yeah, that's beautiful, bro. Like that feeling that it's not as deep as it has to be. I think like it's interesting, right? Like I think a lot of the reason why music scenes sometimes don't get off the ground when they could have. Oh, excuse me. But thank you. But like don't get off the ground when they could have is because of the idea that like some people are taking things way more seriously. Some are taking it way more like, you know, less seriously. It's a hobby, and it's hard to like have everybody firing on all cylinders all at one time, you know?
100%. Definitely the people you named, we're really fortunate to be around, like Aka, Teo, Euthanasia, lots of folks. So Zach is an awesome, interesting place where we feel like all our homies are all consistently putting out awesome shit, and it's fun to celebrate it, and it's fun to be part of it. It feels like it's always something awesome happening. Do
you feel like there wasn't anything before this? Like, I know you guys are from the area. Do you feel like now more so than ever there's been like a moment that's happening?
I think we're seeking it out and being actively trying to be a part of it.
And like we're all like around the same age. Like I'm pretty sure James or Roderick is the same age as us. We're all 22 and shit. Like we just happen to line up, I feel like, you know. But also we are seeking it out, and it's like now more than ever it's so easy to make shit. So
right.
Everyone's doing it.
It's so cool to think about. I was talking about this in an interview yesterday, but it's like the idea even, I mean, maybe this is just me because I'm so like obsessed with music history and like these ideas of like certain music scenes and the way they like combine with other ones over the years. But like the idea that you get to think about the fact that like you are probably in a music scene that will eventually like mean something in the future, that's such an exciting thought. I think about that all the time, dude.
Yeah, we do too. Like, we're excited for the fucking, because really our main audience is like who we make music for is the fucking nerds and the weirdos and creeps and shit. And I'm excited for all the nerds and freaks to be all crazy as fuck in public and shit. Like, I want to be fucking weird in public. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Elaborate on what you mean by that, like weird in public. Because that could be taken different ways.
Just like, not like a weird like pervert.
Like jerking off.
Yeah, not like that. But I mean, like,
I'm really pumped to be a freak in public.
Yeah, just like in high school, we were just doing whatever the fuck we wanted, and just people fucking didn't like that. We were just like weird, you know what I mean? Like, we got fucking bullied in school all the time.
So you guys have known each other that long?
Oh yeah, since middle school.
When I was doing research for this interview, I scrolled back to, I think it was your Instagram, and saw a picture of you two when you guys were like so young.
Yeah,
was I was like, those are children.
I'm like, we're like graduating or some shit.
Yeah.
That was the promotion ceremony from middle school to high school.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So you've known each other like that long?
Yeah.
Sixth grade.
How'd you first meet each other? Was it through school, family, friends, or what?
Well, we met in math class, like officially, but when we real life like started being friends and shit, it's actually a funny ass, like weird creepo story, like pervert story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to get into that.
Get into it, unless you don't want to talk about it.
I mean, we love talking about it. Basically, what happened was we were sitting at the lunch table, and
this is 7th grade.
Yeah, you tell this story.
No. Well, okay. It's the fall 2014, 7th grade. I'm sitting in the lunchroom. I'm in the cafeteria. I'm doing homework by myself, and I overhear this group of kids, and I heard, "Oh, bro, when I jerk off, I blah blah blah," and my ears perked up. I said, "Other people are doing that too? I'm 12. You know, I'm lonely. I'm a virgin.
That's not how I do that.
I'm doing homework."
I wasn't jerking off at that time. I didn't hit puberty until I was in high school.
I think.
Yeah, no, I'm a late bloomer.
I think I was probably around that time, like 11, 12.
I was a junior. I was like 16 when I hit puberty.
Damn, bro.
Yeah.
Couldn't come.
I couldn't come, but I was jerking off. I was trying to jerk off.
Out.
They were talking about jerking off, and I was just like all ears, and I was like, I need to try this. And I went home that night. Did not come, but I was rubbing my shit though. I was trying.
You were like,
I felt left out.
You're like, yo, I heard about this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever tried this shit.
I was like, maybe this will get me into puberty. I don't know.
How did it feel when you finally
you'll transform?
When I finally did it,
you
I was
evolved
scared.
like a phoenix.
Yeah. I was honestly scared the first time that I nutted, like from my own doing.
So was
Jesus
I,
Christ.
dude. I was also scared.
I didn't know how it was supposed to feel or how it was supposed to like happen. But like it just started happening and it went on for like a little bit and I was just like like I remember I was in the shower. I was in the shower standing up.
I
remember the feeling.
I can't believe we're talking about this right now, but on that note, I remember I used to be very scared. Like whenever I would jerk off, I was like terrified that my parents would like find out. I thought it was like a bad thing.
Same.
Dude,
yeah.
I shared a room with two of my brothers. Like I hope my brothers don't watch this, but I have a bunk bed, and I was on the bottom bunk, right? My older brother was on his own bed. But I was fucking jerking off in the room while they were all sleeping.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know if they're awake while this is happening. I really hope not. But I was fucking jerking off while my brothers were both present in there.
Looking back at that, are you proud of that decision?
No.
Or?
Hell no. Like, I should have just went to the bathroom, or maybe I should have just not jerked off because I couldn't even come right. Like,
dude, but I mean, when you're that young, you just want to get it in however.
Yeah, facts.
A pillow, a hand, whatever it takes, dude.
A pillow?
Desperate measures.
You guys use pillows?
No, I never did.
I've always heard about that, but how does one go about
I thought that's more like a girl thing. Like
Is it?
Like they hump pillows or something.
I don't know about that.
Maybe we should get off the topic.
Go back to the story though. How did the origin story?
I just butt in the conversation and quite humorously, I thought. I was like, oh, I'm just gonna join like I know these guys.
It felt natural. It felt normal. It was like, oh, this is good information.
What, the jerking off or the?
Yeah, the jerking off.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, and then
we're talking about that still, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Then we started hanging out,
That's a beautiful origin story. All the boundaries are broken down. That first conversation, you've nothing left off the table.
Yeah. And that's kind of how we are. We talk about everything. So no one holds barred.
Did you guys become friends immediately, or did it take a lot of time?
No, I mean we had like mutuals and shit, and we would play Minecraft together on like Skype.
It developed.
Oh, dude, the Skype era was amazing. I went from Skype to TeamSpeak to Discord.
Same.
Yeah.
That's the pipeline.
I didn't like TeamSpeak. It was ugly.
It was a terrible UI.
I don't know.
I liked how it worked. I didn't like the UI. Like it was giving like a. Do you guys know the website rateyourmusic.com?
Yes.
Yeah, fuck those motherfuckers.
Yeah, it's given that.
Fuck you, rateyourmusic.com.
Are they shitting on you guys on Rate Your Music?
They took our shit off.
They actually were giving us great reviews, but they took our album down.
Why? It was too hard.
Tell them why.
I was kind of spamming every single human being on the website to listen to the album, but it worked. We got hundreds of ratings.
Hella ratings, and they all loved it. But then they fucking like found out that Brandon was spamming him, so they deleted our shit, and they deleted my shit too for some reason. Dude, I wasn't spamming anybody.
Internet kids are the best music marketers. Yeah. And I always say this. I always love this story. I saw this story one time about Lil Nas X, where he was talking about how he would go on these like Reddit forums that were like /r/find that song. So it was like a forum where the purpose pretty much was like, if you had like a song stuck in your head and you only remember like the hook or whatever, you'd like type the hook into the Reddit or whatever, and then somebody would be like, oh, that's that song. So what he would do is he would go on those Reddit forums and he'd be like, what's that one song that goes like horses in the back?
Bro, that's genius as fuck, Loki. What the hell?
Yeah. So he would get people to look up his own song.
Yeah, I came up on stuff like that, like Rate Your Music. That's how like what built my foundation for music as a kid.
I was gonna say that because we've had conversations about like weird bands before, like the Postal Service and shit.
Yeah, so all that stuff I found from. But before I Rate Your Music, I actually used Sputnik Music.
I know Sputnik,
late elementary school, early middle school.
Yeah.
Find stuff. And I would write reviews on there, and I would get relentlessly shit on. Yeah, they're all gone.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah. There's probably some stuff up still, but around a certain point, I started to get really like, you know how like when you're in middle school, you get like embarrassed of like you as a younger kid and you delete everything. Yeah, but there's definitely still some stuff around. But that's what kind of built my foundation of a taste. And like my first album I ever put on, I got any semblance of a fan base literally by direct messaging people who liked similar music on Rate Your Music.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, and just accumulated like 300 ratings. Like I actually got a front page review too for my first album.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, so that. Anyway,
that's very similar to like the way that I came up. I mean,
really?
Above the Bridge started as a blog, like the
like
first
a written blog.
Yeah.
Nice.
So but even before that though, it was just an Instagram blog. Like it started where I was literally just like I was 16 years old, and a friend of mine, I worked in a movie theater at the time, and a friend of mine, she had this Instagram account where she was just like finding albums and she would just listen to them and then write about them on Instagram. So I asked her, I was like, can I copy you? Can I do the same thing? And she was like, yeah. So I did that, and I did like 200 of those in a year, and I was putting all those on albumoftheyear.com and Rate Your Music and stuff too. So very, very online.
I gotta get your RYM, although I actually don't have an account anymore.
Yeah, I never use it anymore. Although I did recently get back into using albumoftheyear.com, which I think is like the superior version of Rate Your Music.
I've never heard of it before.
No.
I've only used Rate Your Music.
What do you like better about it?
The UI. It feels like a website that was made in 2024, not 2006.
I don't like that though.
You like the OG UI?
Yeah, I can't even figure out how to use it. Like, it's not simpler for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's probably just because you've used Rate Your Music forever.
I like Rate Your Music because it's literally like...
Feels like a forum.
Exactly.
It feels like an actual forum.
They don't give a shit about being pretty. It's like very utilizable. I don't know.
That's true.
Like, it's like literally it's everything in a long list. Like everything, I don't know.
It does like cut it down to the basics. Where like you literally all you're doing is reading, which I think is honestly like there's some truth to that for sure.
And also, how can you rate an album in a 100-point scale? Could you possibly pinpoint?
Wait,
what the fuck?
Is that the rating?
I kind of like it more than the 5-star. I feel like
100. Like so you give it like a grade
out of 100. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
how do I tell the difference between a 64 and a 63? At that point, I would literally be on there all day, updating albums all day long.
That just makes more sense to me though than like 3.5 stars to 4 stars. I feel like you have more wiggle room.
But like,
I could get on that. I mean, it's just like more
variables.
So arbitrary. Like I just like know instinctually kind of how I feel, and I just need to like put it in categories of like how much did I like it generally, because it's gonna change day to day, right?
That's true.
So then it's never gonna like literally at next day your ratings are all wrong.
Yeah.
You know? So I don't know.
That's kind of how I aged out of a lot of that shit. Was like when I was a kid, I was so into like the fucking like /r/pop heads. I was so into like the Fantano core shit, and then I kind of just got older. I kind of accumulated this mindset where it's like not every piece of art needs to be judged on an ultra specific, ultra critical basis.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes you can just like something and not know why you like it, or you can dislike it and not know why you dislike it. At the same time, some things are meant to be thought deeper about, and that's beautiful, and you just take it how it is. So I don't know. I got to this place where I was like, yeah, because that's what I was doing for a long time too. It was like I was listening to records, and then I would like give them like a 1 out of 10 or whatever on my Instagram. And I got to this place where I was just like, dude, I don't feel the need to like shit on a new album that I don't like. I just don't have to talk about it. I don't know.
Were you grading it based on like this idea of like an objective taste?
No, not at all.
It was like how much you liked it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good then.
Yeah, because I hate the objective thing.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I
have a friend, a really, really close friend of mine, and he's super into music, and we grew up together, and we very much went through that like internet music phase at the same time. And he would argue with me for hours and hours and hours about how there are objective truths in music, and I really don't feel that way.
Yeah, I have friends like that too, but I feel like then what is the point of us even grading albums? Because then we're basically all trying to prove how smart we are. Like, that basically means that there's a correct answer for like let's say The Godfather, we all agree it should be 5 stars. So that means if you don't grade it 5 stars, you're dumb. But that's not the point of, we should all be sharing our own opinions, and then the average score just ends up whatever the accumulation of everybody's opinions are. But that there's just like, oh, okay, computer, everybody has to love it. So then kids go into it and they're like,
yeah, I have to love this.
And if I don't get it yet, then I have to let's keep listening to it. But why don't you just give it a 2-star, and then the average will even out? Because also some albums are meant to slide down the scale. Like some albums on the top 40 of your music are not even they're in the top 500 now. Yeah. And that's a good thing.
But that's so true, dude. Like, I definitely grew up going into certain records that I heard like a ton about, being like, oh, I have to like this because like all these random internet kids like this. And then it wouldn't really procure anything in me, and I try to like rationalize not liking it in my brain. But it's just like music is so based on what you grew up on and how you grew up and where you grew up and like your own experience. Yeah. There's literally no universal truth.
Yeah. We judge music. I mean, me and him judge music based on like different qualities, but I think that helps us a lot when we're making shit. Yeah. Like, we both have different #1 albums of all time, but I mean, they're both by Kanye West. Close. But yeah.
What are they?
My #1 album of all time is Jesus.
And mine is Dark Fantasy. So
yeah, there's some similarities there. Outside of the fact they're both by Kanye.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think I like to judge music based on how much they push music. That's like my favorite thing of all time.
I tend to agree. We were talking about this last night. What was the debate? It was Kendrick versus Wayne, I think we were saying, right? And we were trying to measure like how much influence has to do with like how great an album is. I feel like influence heavily goes into the conversation.
Definitely.
Were you saying that Wayne is more influential?
No, well, we were kind of. I was on the Kendrick wave, but I think we were saying that Wayne was. If I believe the point we were making, it was like Wayne is more influential to like a lot of young rappers, whereas Kendrick is more influential to music at large. I think that's what we were saying, right? Something like that.
And I was saying the opposite.
And you were saying the opposite, I think. Yeah. Like and then Quadri, I think, was saying what I was saying. I don't know. We were just talking about it in general.
How is Lil Wayne more influential to music at large? Is that what you're saying? How is he
selling millions of albums while millions of people were pirating and stuff?
Right,
which is a good point.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was just curious. I didn't disagree.
And the era, I think, matters a lot too.
Definitely.
The new era.
Yes, sir. But I get because I see the Kendrick side too. Because I think that ever since the Good Kid, Mad City, and Pimp a Butterfly, which are like. At least in my lifetime, it seems like albums. Now there's this expectation for albums to be conceptual always, or like overtly conceptual, like literally a poem tying between every song.
Yeah, that's an interesting point too, right? Because like that is another thing that is not objectively good or objectively bad. It just is what it is. Like
because there's albums that try it and that shouldn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Like they should just let these all be a collection of great songs.
Yeah, like there's some stories where I'm like this project does not need to be woven together through skits in the middle, you know. But that whole rate your music core audience is so obsessed with that idea that everything has to be like an ultra specific narrative. Right. That like if something has any resemblance of a theme, they're just likely to rate it more.
Gives it a faux sense of importance. But like look at Abbey Road. There's no story tying all the songs together, but they're tied together musically, and sometimes the concept of the album doesn't have to be everything's a metaphor for me growing up in the neighborhood anyway.
Yeah 100%. When you guys were making the project, were you battling with the idea of if you wanted it to be more narrative driven or not, if you wanted there to be a more cohesive theme? I know and just getting into that more, I'm interested to hear about it because I know it was like very much a labor of love and something you guys have been working on for a very, very, very long time. So kind of like beginning to when you finally got it out, did the premise and the purpose and your goals with it change?
Not really. I think from the beginning we knew that we wanted it to be like a balance of both. Like we wanted it to be some super substance and like thematic and shit, but we wanted it to sound good. Like that's like the whole mission of the album, is to be like, you can make fun like pop music that's like super like gets you turned or whatever, but it'll have like the same message that you can learn from as other shit.
Yeah, 100%. And there's definitely I think we definitely knew ahead of time it's not a telling a story project, but it's more conceptual in the sense of getting a sense of who we are.
Yeah.
And so and we wanted each song to show a different pocket, like a different side of us, different angle of us. So like, but they're all held together.
It was like a collection. It was like a good collection of music that's like not super connected, but it's still, everything was intentional with it.
Yeah, and connected by us and our core sound, but like showing different sides of it. Like, oh, here's the rap rock version of this like b-boy electronic weird whatever we are, and then here's like the more popper one, and and
just showing our range off.
The range, exactly.
Yeah,
the b-boy angle is a cool way to describe your sound. I didn't quite think about that when I was listening, but when you say that, I mean, all like the 90s synths and all the 90s scratches and all that stuff is very like b-boy-esque. Is that like an era and a genre and a time period that you guys took a lot of music from, or did it just like hit when you were making the project?
I mean, definitely. I feel like we take a lot of inspiration from like Beastie Boys and shit, and I feel like they're super b-boy, so it's like that, and it's also, I don't know, we just feel like b-boys, you know what I mean? Like we break shit, we're breakers. B-boys.
Yeah. I think that it kind of started on accident. Yeah. Because the first beat was the An Fong beat, and it just had this, like, it brought out the b-boy, you know, like flow, and I kind of.
It just came out like that's just how we are.
It's like
we're
very bouncy
B-boys.
flow,
but it was
we're
like
b-boys at heart. Yeah, it just came out in the music.
But then it had this like kind of hyper pop, futuristic, like take on it, and then we kind of. I feel like for the first time we had in my entire artistic career, I felt like I had pinpointed, or people were seeing it as a like, oh, I feel like I felt like I kind of finally did something unique. So then I think we kind of stuck with that and tried to find different angles of it. You know?
That's a really interesting point, because some people, I think that comes like so far in their creative journey, and I assume it even came far in your creative journey, but there just wasn't a lot of stuff out before that. It's interesting that to talk about that as like a means to an end in a way. It's like when you find the one thing that you think is different about you, and I think that's an amazing place to start. I feel like a lot of artists put out a bunch of projects before they get to that place where they're like, this is the one thing that sets me apart. This is my different take on this sound after, you know, years and years and years of experimenting. But that's really cool, like talking about it as like a means to an end. It's like we found the one thing that we thought was unique about us, and we just lean into that.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a direct extension. We were really like, this is us. This really is us, and that extends to the video. Yeah, because we've been making video together for the longest time, and that's when I say in my artistic career or journey, you're right. Like it is early in the grand scheme of things. It feels long because I've been living my life.
How old are you? 22?
22.
Nice.
Yeah, and we've been working together since we were like tweens.
Nice.
You know, but a lot of that was video, and then like songs for fun, and then other things like clothing. We did a lot together.
We did a lot of YouTube videos and shit like that.
Yeah. So then, but I almost don't even think of like, I didn't have a ton of music out before this, but I think of this as the from the clothing and the videos and stuff.
Yeah.
So, like that stuff I felt like wasn't all the way unique. This I felt like was the first thing where we were like genuinely we could say it's gonna hold up. We're gonna get better from there, but it's like the genesis of our real artistic careers.
It's an interesting point, and I certainly relate to that. Like, there was tons of things I had to do to get the point where I knew even what Above the Bridge was. And I mean, like, literally, I change what Above the Bridge is just about every 3 months, and I still am. And I think there's some beauty in that. I think you have to be so open to the idea of, like, creatively just breaking everything down and starting over as many times as possible, you know?
You have to keep evolving as an artist until it, like, really works.
Yeah.
Like, everything is always working to a degree, but, like...
Even then.
Why not keep evolving? And even then, when you break through, you want to keep, like, think of all the greatest artists. Every album is like a evolution and new take on something.
Yeah, like Brandon knows I've been working on like a solo album for like the past 3 years, and the songs that were on it from the beginning, like up until right now, like they're not the same songs, and like I threw away most of those, and the sound that I've finally found for the album that I want to put out, like it's just like I would not want to change it anymore. Like, I know that this is the sound that I want to put out for my first solo album.
Yeah, you finally found it. Yeah.
Which is cool too, with the context that like you can get to that place and then still want to change it in the future. Like, that's almost cooler and more exciting. It's like this like ever evolving journey. It's like all you're doing is like chiseling the rock and like trying to find what the most honest and true version of you is in that time, right? Yeah. What you guys at 22 is probably going to sound entirely different than you at 45, you know?
Exactly. 100%.
Yeah. I don't even know what the fuck we'll be doing, but this will be like a distant memory probably.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Talking about the project too, it's cool that you know, that idea that like it's different stories about us and it's very personal. I think another big thing that really weaves the project together in my eyes at least is the Sacramento-isms in it, and like how much I mean Sac Disease is like an obvious more on the nose version of this, and you guys talking about like this idea of like these people not necessarily wanting to leave the place that you're from and like really like molding themselves to that and like just getting stuck there in a way. Do you feel any kind of like creative enrichment that comes from the place that you're from? And if so, what is it? And I guess if not, like, is it a place you want to get out of? What do you think about like the current iteration of Sacramento music, and how do you think it's impacted the project?
Well, honestly, at the time of making Sac Disease, it was I don't know, we were
really pissed off, frustrated.
We were, like, frustrated that like about the idea of just like people like blindly showing support to one another just because we're from the same place.
Interesting.
But we definitely have learned, like, within like the year after the album finally dropped, it's like there's definitely like a beauty to just like supporting each other and building community, and like we need that, you know what I mean? But it's still a very real idea. It's like we shouldn't just like be comfortable here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I love Sacramento now, but it's like we want more.
Yeah.
I still agree with the song, but I know that I'm in a different place emotionally than I was when I wrote it.
Yeah.
Because
were you frustrated at the time?
Yeah. That's, and like almost all the songs on the project, we kind of always start with like an idea of what we want to talk about before the song happens. So that one, it was like we'd already been talking about we're gonna make a song called Sac Disease. We didn't know what it was gonna be or sound like really. Yeah. But we already had been juggling around the ideas because, like we have great chemistry. Obviously, we've been friends for so long. So a lot of our studio sessions get derailed with just like hours long of like conversations. But they're not. It's never like bullshitting. We always feel like our conversations get so like epic and we rile up and we go, we push each other up, and that's like in the music. That comes out, like we push each other to be better and everything.
In like a competitive sense.
Oh yeah.
In a competitive sense.
I feel like we're both really, really competitive.
100%, but I never feel like I'm trying to compete with you. Although I think we bring each other up, in terms of like, oh, you spazzed, I have to spaz.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what it. I mean, that's how An Fong was like really started. Like at first it was just like.
What was the story of that one?
Basically, it was like one of the like I basically just produced like this fucking like weird silly sound, and then I freestyled on it, and Brandon wanted to get on it too. I showed it to him and I was like, you should get on this. I sent it to him. He fucking made a fire ass verse for it, so I was like, oh fuck, I have to redo mine now. And then it just kept getting better and better and better because we're so competitive. And then it like turned into a real thing that we were proud of, and we're like, oh, we should do a video for this, like do like a real rollout kind of.
Just because we were excited about it.
Yeah.
Like we weren't really taking it. We started taking it serious because we're like, ooh, I think we really have something. Yeah. But we could have never even imagined like that it was like as real as it ended up becoming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird, and I don't think really you're ever supposed to realize that. Which is, at least if you're doing things for the right reason, I don't think you're ever supposed to take that step back and be like, damn, like, how did I get here? Because I think then when you kind of get in that place, you get comfortable and you stop. Yeah. I think it's really important to kind of like have that mindset where you're like, damn, this was great, but how can I make it better? Like, what's the next thing? Like 100%. Never getting too comfortable and always being this place where you're looking for the next thing.
And that was a big problem because like we didn't drop any music for like, what was it, 2 years after Info?
Damn near a year.
Oh, a year?
You put out La 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 and I put out Star Heist, so it was like 6 months, but we didn't know what we were doing with music
at all.
It fell in our lap, the song, and we're like,
just like in life, like you didn't know where it sat in your life.
Well, like we both knew that we wanted to create music and do other shit, but it was just like after the success of An Foon, we were like, oh shit, what are we supposed to do now? I guess
Which
we
was
should make more
moderate.
music.
Moderate, if at all, success in the grand scheme.
Yeah.
But like it did exponentially
Way better
better than
yeah.
anything we'd ever done. And yeah.
Where did a lot of the traction from that song come from? Was it because it's like a hyper localized thing, this like idea of Van Fong?
The raps, is that what you said?
No, just like the traction.
Oh, the
Well,
traction.
that, but also like we made a whole video for it, and I think a lot of the people that liked the song came from the video.
Gotcha.
And we ran ads on that for like, we had never run ads on any shit before, so, and it just worked really good.
With Antibox, I had had success. This is my clothing brand that was my main thing before this song, which kind of made me go, wait a second. And I switched my focus.
Gotcha.
But I'd had some success with Instagram ads, and I had kind of learned a little bit about what you need to do to, because some of them work, some of them didn't. Even if you spend the same amount of money or target the same way.
Yeah.
So then that expertise kind of helped, and then we learned from the experience of the song. Although we don't have proof, but we thought, I think if we had just put out this song standalone, I think nothing would have happened. We would have never known what could have it been. So then it was a big major lesson in like how to get people's attention, because we had done it successfully. And so we learned from that and tried to double down on that.
That world's an interesting world, like running the ads and stuff, because I think a lot of the times it can bring a lot of numerics, but then it's hard when like do you think you were able to translate a lot of those people who found the song through the ads into like real fans? And like, if so, how do you do it?
There's a difference 100% between like it, because and you can kind of just tell.
Yeah.
If the ad's working, you're getting real life human beings shitting on you, and then people defending you in the comments. Like, that's what you want to see.
Yeah. Like people really engaging with it and caring about it.
If you're just getting fire emojis, 100 emojis, it's not the same. And then also like it's great to get a lot of followers, just people, like random people. But then also how you know you're doing something right is like people that you respect are coming from your ads.
Yeah.
So it's reaching people that
And it was also, it's like a lot of people that were that liked the song or video, like were in the comments like, wait, why this is like weird as fuck, but I fuck with it for some reason.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of
that's a great sign.
Yeah, I feel like because they saw it as like, I don't know why I like it, but I like it, that helped. Like they were like, oh, this is like a new special thing, so I fuck with it more than just like, oh, it's like a cool thing that I see on Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is going back to your perspective about art, what you like about art, why you like Yeezus.
Yeah.
Right?
It was just like, yeah.
Because
I love how much Yeezus pushed music forward. It's just like, even though like these sounds at the time were like brand new and it's like there was not like much crazy shit, people were, it's like I had the same reaction of like, what the fuck is this, but why do I like it so much?
Right. And some people just want to make stuff that's easy.
Yeah.
Like it just sounds good. Like some people just want to make stuff that sounds good, which is actually easy. Even though it doesn't, it's maybe if you're not a musician, it sounds hard. It's actually extremely easy, and it's actually way cooler to make something that's risky. Like you're taking risks, but yet you pull it off.
Yeah.
That's where you get the greatest art of all time, like Yeezus.
How often do you feel like people appreciate the idea of like taking that extra creative ambition to try and make something that like is risk taking opposed to just something that's like an easy listen?
I feel like nobody really does that.
As artists or consumers?
Consumers.
I feel like a lot of artists today, like we talk about this all the time, but we're always saying like, there's like not really anybody to look up to anymore, at least for me, because artists don't really do that. I feel like where it's just like,
do what?
People don't make music with the purpose of like, oh, I want to make something new. You know what I mean? I don't really know how to explain it in a good way, but I
think you're onto something. Yeah, keep going though.
I just don't really know how to explain it or put it, but basically when I'm looking for music to be inspired by, yes, integrity. It's like making music that's super easy to like is so boring to me, and I hate that.
Some of that stuff turns out good, like
sometimes
we like songs that are,
there's songs that you can appreciate just for sounding good and like being fun.
So at the end of the day, we want music because it feels good, it sounds
soundtrack,
good.
Soundtrack to my life and type shit.
Yeah.
But the music that I want to be inspired by, that I try to listen to, is music that's weird and like super, like you either hate it or you love it. Like that's my favorite thing.
Right. That's the truly great stuff. If because there's like you could play like, oh, like you know how the whole thing of like you get on aux and you're scared to play something that you really want to hear and you really like, but everybody's gonna be, but it's really risky.
Yeah.
Right. But or you go the route of you just put on a Drake song, and I like some Drake songs. You know?
Yeah, we love Drake.
Dude, I was thinking about this the other day actually.
I like us.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was driving over the post office and like I have this playlist of like 5,000 songs, and I've just added everything that I liked at any point in my life to that for the past like literally like 8 years probably. So like this Drake song came on, 0 to 100 the catch up came on.
I know every word.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it. I was like, damn,
well,
dude,
except that
like,
one word, but.
like, Jesus. I was thinking about it.
That if it, I don't know. It's up to you.
I was thinking about it, and I was like, as corny as Drake is, and how difficult he is to listen now, God, does his back catalog have some songs that are just undeniably great.
I'm a huge Drake fan. He's my number 3 most listened artist.
Yeah, dude. There were like 1 or 2 years where like Drake was in my like top like 50 songs of like the year, and I was very surprised. But there's certain songs, I think for me, a lot of Drake is like workout shit. Like Over.
Yes.
Like Over is a song like I will forever work out to.
Dude, I will lose my mind.
Headlines too, dude.
Yes.
I ran my fastest mile ever to Over.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm sure. I actually, when I was I was going through a phase where I probably was like 3 days in a row where I was trying to run a mile every day.
Nice.
I was definitely listening to Drake exclusively.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
For me, Drake is like the soundtrack to like when I'm depressed and shit. Like that's
That
like
too.
really the only time I listen to Drake.
Damn, it's the opposite for me.
Yeah.
Well, what about like Doing It Wrong? Hold On, We're Going Home. Like there's
Dude,
those too, you know.
I can't get in. Like for me, Drake has always been like I like the rap Drake songs. The R&B songs for me have never been my thing.
That's surprising. I
Yeah.
feel like it's mostly the other way for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even like a Marvin's Room isn't really for me.
I like Drake with the melodies.
yeah, exactly.
Dude, like give me like Over, give me Headlines, give me 0 to 100.
It
Like
just makes you feel like a king, like a superhero.
yeah, dude, makes me feel like a badass.
But you never relate to Marvin's Room.
I don't know, dude. I was too busy with like No Surprises and like High and Dry. Like I was like,
Oh, Radiohead.
yeah, I was listening to too much Radiohead to like in that era to like that was where my sad music was coming
I
from.
see.
That and like Bon Iver.
Oh yeah, there's a video of me as a 12-year-old playing No Surprises. On
That's my favorite song of all time.
YouTube.
My number 1 favorite song of all time.
Oh wow.
Changed my life.
You know, in 8th grade,
good
I did a speech in my English class about Fit or Happier.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That OK Computer was definitely a transformative album for me. Made me look it like even I'm not even like a gigantic Radiohead fan. I mean, I love Radiohead, but it's not like I'm not listening to Radiohead all the time. But like I think OK Computer changed my outlook more than any album ever has, for sure. Because like the whole Fit or Happier narrative and like the whole idea of No Surprises and like everything with that. It was an album that like really, really changed the way that I looked at the world when I was a kid.
That's dope.
Do you guys have any projects that you remember the first time you heard them and the first place you listened to them and like ones that changed everything for you?
I don't really know.
I got one.
Tell them to shut up.
Oh, that's awesome.
TWD in there.
I feel like I'm not gonna pick the right one. I'm gonna like think of it later.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Weezer's Blue album was the first album that I ever heard.
Such a fun album, dude.
Yeah, it's a full experience. And my dad's friend burned a Napster copy for me on CD.
Sick,
I had a
dude.
Discman. I think I got it when I was 4 or 5. And that was my favorite album. Every time in the car, listen to it. It was blue and green on the same CD. So,
Oh, sick.
yeah, and
dude.
then I had Make Believe.
So your parents seemed like they were super into music.
My dad had a leather CD booklet, just like endless
Cool.
pages. So I would pick through them and.
My dad had one too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When my mom wasn't in the car, we could pull out the parental advisory ones. So, Jay-Z in the Linkin Park Collision Course.
Yeah, dude.
That one, actually, I can remember being on the way to church and it blowing my mind. Never hearing anything like that before, and never hearing words like that before. You know. And like on the way to church, my dad like turns around and he goes, "Hey, you're gonna hear some words in this, but you can't repeat them. Just this is just for music."
Did you grow up super religious?
No, but my parents were extremely young, and they were trying to do everything like normal, you know,
Gotcha.
to try to like beat the stereotype and stuff.
Interesting.
So,
Okay.
like making sure I had good grades and going to church. But we eventually faded away from that.
Nice.
What CDs did your dad have? I'm curious.
Dude, so much shit. My dad was really into reggae. Like a lot of reggae and a lot of hardcore. Like my dad would put on like Bob Marley, and then next he'd have like a Suicidal Tendencies record going. And then like from there he'd go to like my dad was super into like Soundgarden as well. So a lot of 90s shit, really into Nirvana. And then a little bit of rap too. He liked a lot of 90s rap. My dad played a lot of Biggie when I was a kid. Yeah, a ton of reggae and a ton of like hardcore and a ton of punk music.
How old's your dad?
My mom 53, my dad's 56 or 57.
Ah, interesting. Because
He just turned 57.
Okay, happy birthday, bro.
Thank you. Shout out
Shout
Roberto.
out, Rob.
Roberto Pellegrino.
Roberto.
But your dad and my dad, you named everything that my dad would. It was reggae, 90s alt rock,
Yeah.
and like Biggie and Tupac. That was
Interesting.
his collection.
Where did I grow up?
Chicago.
Okay, interesting. My dad's from New York, and then he moved to the Bay.
Fuck yeah.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were like, was your dad like a hardcore kid growing up?
No.
That's
definitely
very
not.
much what my
Just,
dad was into.
He was into rap.
Okay,
coming
cool.
out and growing up, and then got into like alternative rock when he became a dad, I think.
Nice. You got to get into dad rock when you become a dad.
Yeah, and I loved Bob Marley and 311. Also,
Yeah, what about you? What were your parents listening to?
My parents, honestly, when I was growing up, I mean, the only one I can remember really is Green Day. My dad
Nice.
loves Green Day.
Where's he from?
He's from Hawaii.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and my mom's from the Philippines. But yeah, he listened to a lot of Green Day, but other than that, it was mostly just music on the radio. I didn't really understand the concept of music until literally Brandon showed me, like, To Pimp a Butterfly in middle school. And that was the first album that I ever listened to, like, front to back, on the way home from school.
Do you remember how you felt?
Oh, yeah. I was like, holy shit, this is hard as fuck. And, like, I remember hearing King Kunta for the first time walking.
Got a bone to pick.
Yeah. I love the, like, at the beginning,
Yeah,
just,
dude.
like, how bouncy it is. But, yeah, I didn't really understand that there was, like, an artist made this song. I thought it was just, like, shit was manufactured. I didn't really think about it that much.
Which is
You know what I
interesting.
mean?
And I think a lot of people feel the same way.
Mhm.
And I think I've talked to a lot of people who definitely had that mindset. I think I had that mindset until I was
Yeah.
like 16 and I found like a bunch of pop punk that I was like
Yeah.
obsessed with.
What bands?
Neck Deep was the big one for me.
Yep.
Was like really big. I used to DM Ben Barlow.
Nice. I don't know
Yeah.
who that
Oh,
is,
shit.
but
He's the lead singer of Neck Deep.
fuck yeah.
So Neck Deep was a huge one for me. Pierce the Veil was a huge one for me. MCR was a huge one for me. And MCR is the only one that's like really held up.
I fucking cried my eyes out when they broke up.
Yeah,
Like, I was
dude.
in my fucking playroom. I was 11, and I was like, "Mom, my Chemical Romance broke up."
Oh,
And she,
MCR
like-
is done.
She like hugged me, like held me. She was
Baby,
so,
it'll
like,
be
lost.
okay.
Yeah,
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, Welcome to Black Parade, like front to back, I think is like, it's like one of the best. I think in its genre, I don't think anything does what it does. But it was like those bands, and then I found the Front Bottom super early too.
Front Bottom's fire.
Before like
Yep.
they blew up on TikTok, I was like found them when I was like 15, 16,
Yeah.
right when Back on Top came out, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, like around that time, I believe.
Yeah, we were bumping them in middle school.
Hell yeah,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, Brian Settle and Connor Oberst are like two of my favorite singers of all time. I'm very, very like I always say this. All my favorite singers suck at singing. They're all like technically bad singers, but they're just
Yeah.
very expressive. Bon Iver's another one, even though he's an amazing singer. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wait, what's your favorite Bon Iver?
song or album?
Let's go song.
Oh, well, album is Forever Go by far. I mean that was like the soundtrack to all the lowest points of my life for sure.
Damn.
I had that as my second vinyl ever. But my favorite song by Bon Iver, there's so many contenders. I want to say it's so close. Probably Flume, but like not
Yeah.
by a lot.
I'm gonna agree with you.
Yeah, like not by a lot though.
Ever listen to him?
I've never heard
But
any
you know,
Bon Iver
his stuff with
songs.
Kanye.
I don't. Oh, is he the guy he's a singer guy?
You know
Lost in World,
the
I'm in it.
the intro to
Only
Monster.
Liquor.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Lights
Yeah,
out.
there's
That's Bon
so
Iver.
many of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does his music sound like that too?
Yeah,
Not like Monster,
I mean,
but like the intro part.
the vocals, but like not anything else.
Okay,
it's like
yeah.
folk. He actually just dropped, and I haven't
folk.
listened to it yet.
Me neither. Yeah. Really?
It's really good. Yeah, dude, I gotta listen. It
I-
wasn't a project, right? It was a single. Nice. I gotta check it out.
The last one I listened to was 22 a Million,
Yeah, 22 Million's amazing.
which you'll probably like a lot. It's like very Yeezus inspired, but like folk version.
22 million it's called.
22 Million, yeah.
22 a Million.
22 a million.
Yeah.
Not 22
With a
million.
comma.
I
No,
see.
yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the BBC performance of Justin Vernon doing Skinny Love?
No.
Oh, it is one of it might be my favorite live performance on YouTube. Oh, it's so good, dude. It's just him, the acoustic guitar, in this like circular, not arena, but it's like a circular venue, and it's like lit super cool, and it's just him and his little brittle hollow acoustic guitar just screaming, and it's like one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Wow. Yeah, I do have to see that.
On a
Yeah.
big empty stage. That sounds super awesome.
Yeah,
Like super
dude.
epic.
It's just him and like just a regular fold out chair.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the OG Dijon. I don't know if
That's
weird to say.
not a hot take at all. I actually
Yeah.
totally agree with you.
I love Dijon. No, man, not Dijon. I meant McGee. I'm sorry. I meant to say McGee.
Oh, I think
said
Dijon
that wrong.
more.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Never mind.
I feel like Dijon works there better.
But like
I feel like it does too.
the vocal inflections and like how
Yeah.
it sounds weird and I don't know.
I think set wise, Dijon works like that too better though.
Set.
With like because his videos and shit are all just like.
Have you seen him live?
I haven't no.
Incredible.
I haven't seen a live concert in a minute.
What was the last one you went to?
I think it was Paris, Texas, in LA.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they performed the Midair shit.
Sick. Fuck
And
yeah.
I was like really into the album at the time.
Yeah, dude.
But-
Front to back, that project is so great.
Yeah, Ain't No High, such a fucking good ass song.
Yeah, dude.
I was
Yeah.
screaming my heart out in the show.
We were at the set of Ain't No High last night.
Oh, was that the set?
Where?
It's our friend Sean's studio.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They had like the rocks that they use in one of their there was like a live performance video that they put out for
Mhm.
Ain't No High, and there was like rocks and shit. It was like a desert set, and it was just like lined up against the wall, and he was like, "Oh, that's the rocks that they use."
That's
Was that
so
not the
cool.
background? The
I don't
blue-
remember.
the gradient?
It might have been.
Anyway.
That's a weird LA thing, dude.
Yeah.
Like just like being
Yeah.
here
So
and,
cool.
and being like, oh, like that's where that what happened,
Yeah.
or like that's where that happened.
We made a song there yesterday, so.
Nice, dude. Hell
Me
yeah.
and Teo, Barry.
Barry
do you know
Blue.
Barry Blue?
No.
No. And
She's a good ass artist.
Roderick
Yeah.
and Grim Beats
Okay. Nice.
and Sean.
Hell yeah, dude. That's super sick. Did you guys come down here with the intention to make a lot of music, or it just happened?
Not really. I mean,
It has barely
yeah, we
happened,
did.
so.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
actually did come down with the intention of laying some stuff down, so.
Dude, sick. Hell yeah. Do you guys like? I mean, being like a group, but like also just a duo. When you're making stuff, what does the process look like? Is it one of you make something, sends to the other, and you're like, oh, we got to do this, or is it like you have planned out studio time? What does the process kind of look like? I'm sure when you guys were making the project, it was more like we're in on this day, and this day,
Yeah.
right?
Usually, so for a lot of the songs on the new era, it would be like I would fucking fart out a beat or whatever, like a super messy, like not mixed or like no structure really, and it would just be the sound of the song, and then I would put like a verse on it, and then I would send it to Brandon. He would put a verse on it, and then he would be like, "Oh, you should put this here, this here, this here." So it's like the way that we've been explaining it to people is like I shit out just like a mass of something. I don't know how we explained it to Keller, but
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I basically just put out some raw shit,
Yeah.
and then Brandon helps form it into something.
He's very expressive.
Yeah,
He's good at
I think-
taking a feeling, and you're good at taking a
I
feeling.
think that's my greatest
Yeah.
strength as like a producer, is just like being able to feel emotion and then put it into sound so that the person listening can feel what I'm feeling.
That's everything, bro.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
what I
like the biggest strength to have. I feel like
proud.
translating emotion in that way, like because that's all we're doing, right? Making
Mhm.
music. It's like you're feeling things,
Yeah,
and you're trying to figure out the best way possible to
Yeah.
create something that makes somebody feel a similar fashion.
and I'm so happy about that because I feel like, I mean, I don't know if you guys could tell, but I'm not like the greatest talker of like expressing.
Yeah, you are. You're doing great.
I can't really. It's hard for me to explain my thoughts in a way that makes sense,
Mm.
and I feel like it's so much easier to do that with like instruments and shit, and just like
Yeah.
laying shit out.
Yeah,
So
dude.
that's like my favorite way to express myself.
It's your language.
That's
Yeah.
such a cool way to look at it. I feel very similar to writing. Like
Yeah,
I'm much better at writing than I am talking. I feel like my thoughts come off much better when I write them down.
that's bars.
Huh. You do have very, very nifty little intros in the Instagram reels.
Oh, thanks,
They're,
bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Clever.
I wish we could do those more, man. They just take like when I was making those, it was like literally 4 hours of time for every single podcast. But now we're doing these pictures, which have been really sick. Because Mario gets to flex his artistic muscles in these cool ass film photos.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, we're taking a
We
picture.
love Mario.
Yeah, dude.
Fuck yeah.
We're getting on film.
Great. But yeah, to continue on that, and then I think my strength is execution. Is that-
Yeah, definitely. You, like, I mean, it just like works perfectly that
He's like, "Rah!" And I'm like, okay, wait, hold on.
Yeah,
let
and
me,
then
let me,
you
yeah.
can market it in a
Yeah.
perfect way.
You're
Yeah.
like the Tam do is crazy.
Yeah.
100%, even not in the studio.
Yeah.
I feel like the shit that we put out is always 50-50. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be able to do it without each other, even though
Mhm.
we both are working on solo shit.
Right.
That's gonna have a different vibe just because it's our own stuff.
People are gonna hear what we sound like distinctly, and then they're gonna hear how that when they come together, like, oh, I see how that plus that.
Yeah,
equals
our
this.
strengths like work
Cool.
well together, and like with videos too. Like I feel like he's really good at pre-production shit, and then I like to focus on post-production shit. So
Nice.
it's just like works.
Definitely. And the
Yeah.
editing
Like a-
room is a lot of me kind of like, oh yeah, this fire, bro.
Yeah.
So
It's like an
Yeah.
executive producer and then a post production person. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah.
And but also, so while we have our individual strengths too, a lot of
Mhm.
times it'll be like, all right, you go for an hour, and then we switch out. I go for an hour and whatever, like for the things that we're both, pause.
Dude, I want to talk about the gloves on video because it was, dude, oh my god, it was incredible, very
Thanks,
very
man.
good. Yeah, it was. I was floored by it. I really loved it.
Worked very hard on it.
I saw, hell yeah, dude. No, I could tell. I mean, it was a whole damn thing, and it seemed like a ton of resources went into it.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw that you guys co-directed it, which is really cool. And I wanted to ask about that process. 'Cause I know you guys said you've been making film-related things together for a long time. Like, was there a period where you wanted to be directors, and do you always want to be the directors of your own videos?
I think I can speak for both of us when we still consider ourselves to be like we want to be directors.
Nice.
We just want to do like a whole lot of shit in the future. Like, I mean, we both want to make movies in the future, and that's just like we just love to create shit.
Yes, and like I pretty much consume film as much as music, pretty equally. Huge cinephile, and partly we make songs so we can make videos, and we make videos so we can make songs. You know?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
And it's interesting too, cause I feel like the way that we like to make music is like, because we started off with video.
It's
I feel
visual.
Like, yeah, it's like a visual, and then also
when
we're making songs, it's like, oh, this is like the soundtrack to that.
Yeah, pretty much every video, including the upcoming ones, the videos were cooked, at least idea-wise, as the song alongside, to making the song.
Gotcha.
They go hand in hand.
Oh, we can say this so that we can do that in the video. Like, we think about things like that. So.
I think that's a skill right now that's even more valuable than it's ever been. In a world where like the visuals arguably as important as the music, and we live in this strange time in the music industry where like musicians are required to be filmmakers, and for the first time really ever. So
if you have to do it, you might as well do it good.
Yeah.
So you don't have to make fucking cringe, no integrity content. You know what I mean?
Outside
Which
of
is
being,
what most people are making. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
That's all I said.
Oh,
yeah. Most people are, anyway. But yeah, what's your question?
Outside of being directors, like the visual of that video is incredible, and like the way it was shot is so cool. Were you behind the camera and prior stuff? I saw that somebody else DP'd this video, but talk about who DP'd it and just like how that whole thing kind of came across, because it was so incredibly shot.
Thanks, bro.
That was our buddy George behind the camera from a lot of the shots.
Almanza.
And also our buddy Kale.
He did
Blaze Dagami Richards.
Mm-hmm.
Like we storyboard a lot of the shots that we want to do. Like we'll have certain shots in mind while we're writing out the script and stuff, and then also it's just like we can trust them to have a good idea too, like in the actual shoot.
Yeah, they're our team. They're like we're all involved in every aspect for sure.
Yeah.
So like I'm honestly trying to struggle with a little bit of my hyper obsession, almost micromanaging. Because George, I know that if I let him go, he does a great job.
Yeah.
But I'm also so like visual and in the filmmaking.
Yeah.
I want to be the grip too and all that. So
I feel you, bro. Yeah, it's a very, very, very difficult thing to grapple with. Like that idea, like you want to be, like you want one hand in every single part of the creative process, but then like building the team around you that like will be able to execute exactly what you see and what they see, and like your strengths will come through with it and their strengths will come through to it. That's a really, really vital skill I think to have in any kind of creative field. Is like building the correct team around you that like sees what you see and they see what you see.
The vision, super important.
Yeah,
super important.
Yeah, we're really confident with the team that we've built and are building. Because a lot of them, it's relationships that have extended over years, and it's people that we really trust and know are driven for their own goals, but we come together with our stuff because we see a mutual benefit, and the experience, exposure. Anyway, so like the guys that are with us right now, Taylor Diggs and Kale Blaze Dagami Richards, they've been with us the whole trip.
Sick name.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah.
Like his fucking middle name is Blaze Dagami.
That's hard.
It's
dude.
fucking cool as shit.
So sometimes we
BDR1.
just call him Blaze, you know. Or at the end of the night, we always say, "Hey, you want to blaze some kale?"
Yeah. We're trying to actually turn his name into like a slang. Like we're trying to get like turn Blaze into like another word that means cool.
Yeah,
that's just Blaze.
Yeah, hella Blaze, bro. Blaze Dagami, bro.
That's Blaze as hell, bro.
Hella Blaze, dude.
Anyway, those are like our brother's family. So we've been sleeping together every night in a little tiny room and
hot.
Yeah.
How did you guys go? Are all those guys from SAC? How did you go about meeting all of them?
SAC.
We actually all, except Taylor. We met Taylor at the skate park because we used to skate all the time. But Kale Blaze Dagami Richards, we had to say the full name every time. We met him.
Kale plays Gummy Richards.
We went to the same high school together.
But we never met until after high school.
Yeah.
Oh, through friends. Through Bryce.
Yeah.
Our friend, who's like my cousin.
Uh-huh.
And bringing up the skateboarding shit, that's partly how, to go back to like how we became friends, that's when things started to get like more serious. I don't know why I said it like that, but
Yeah, why did you
because like serious relationship, you know. But anyway, like that's when we started to become closer, because we were both like really into like skateboarding and seeking out like the culture in Sacramento, like going to video premieres, stuff like that, and like we were like very wide-eyed about that. So then we were like our goals were aligning, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're from the suburbs and shit, so it's like we kind of like were introduced to the outside world at the same time
Through skateboarding.
Yeah, through skateboarding.
Cool, dude.
Yeah.
Through skateboarding it was the key to unlock the door to everything.
Yeah,
Although we were already into all this stuff, but we didn't know that there were other people doing it anywhere near around. We didn't know like, oh, there's places you can go, like there's open mics, there's whatever, and resources and people that are into this, that are like, that's where we found the community, you know?
Yeah, dude. I think a lot of skaters talk about skating that way. Like it was like a tool to open the door.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there was a guy we did a segment with named Javin, sorry, and he was talking about a very similar thing. So he's a semi-pro skater and then musician. Really, really crazy skater.
Yeah.
At least from what I know. I don't know very much about skating, but he talked about it in a very similar way, where like skateboarding for him was like I guess like adverse to what you were talking about, though he grew up in like not in the suburbs and not like a great area, and he was telling me how like skating was kind of vice versa from what you guys were saying, his escape to where he could skate other places and kind of escape the environment that he was in. So it feels like the kind of thing that opens a lot of doors for a lot of people, for sure. It's kind of like a first step into freedom.
Yeah,
100%. We made a documentary film about it that was one of our biggest our early big collaborations, but it never came out.
Why not?
It was just a lot of daunting work, because it was like 200 hours of footage that we got.
And then we started working on other shit. Like that was around the same time, like a year after we started shooting, I think. We like got into making music.
Nice.
And it was like, oh, this is like, we like doing this more.
It was a really huge project to have to do, and we're also juggling a ton of other stuff like freelance work, and then like we both had clothing brands, work, all that, and so just kind of, but it's funny because we are planning on actually finishing it and putting it out at some point, but just got to figure out when's the right time.
Yeah.
Because the focus should be on our music right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's super hard when you're like a multifaceted creative that wants to do so much shit, but like we only have 24 hours in the day. It's so hard to like reel your focus and figure out when is the right time to do this, when is the right time to do that, like what needs to be the focus in this moment now, you know?
100%.
Do you guys go back to the filmmaking stuff a lot? Like, do you have any really, really early projects that you're proud of on the filmmaking side of things that you think still hold up over the years?
Fuck. I mean, we had like a lot of high school projects that are like, they're fun to watch, but obviously we've gotten way better since then. But we watch them. I mean, it's all up on this YouTube channel, Cannonball Warhol, that we have. It has like every single video that we've made since
2019.
Even before then, probably.
Some
right?
stuff, but yeah. But yeah, nothing that holds up really. But that we feel like the stuff we're making now is finally stuff that we're like, okay, we finally, I don't know.
We unlocked it.
Yeah, that's super sick. I'm curious how much your vision as a filmmaker and your vision as directors kind of like go into the aesthetic of the new era, because like the branding behind it and the aesthetic behind it and the black and white and the outfits and stuff are very, very strong and consistent. And it's like, of course. And like, even just like you guys intentionally, like your outfits when you're like on stage or when like you're being photographed and stuff are incredibly specific and like very consistent. Do you think a lot of that focus on the aesthetics of it and the branding of it came from the film world, or was that something you kind of got from the music world?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't really know, honestly. We just kind of we like the theatrics and shit. Like we like to be dramatic
And being intentional.
Yeah, we like intention.
I'm glad that comes across.
Yeah. I feel like that's a really good word to describe it, is the intentionality behind it. Like it all feels very, very pointed. It's like everything is where it needs to be for a certain reason.
Yeah. I think that definitely some things I could point out that are very film influenced is like the Ground Running video is like a lot of direct homages to Clerks, which is my all-time favorite movie.
Clerks, yeah. Never seen it. What's it about?
It's 1994 black and white, low budget, a movie that a guy named Kevin Smith made in the convenience store that he was currently working in. So he would work a shift, and then he would film overnight, and then he would work the next day. And he did it for like 19 days in a row, I think.
Wait, he would film overnight in the store?
Yeah, so he'd close it, and then he would have crew, extras.
Craziest 24-hour challenge of all time.
Oh
Yeah,
for 19 days.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
like a 500-hour challenge.
Yeah, and on a shoestring budget, like 27,000.
Mhm.
That today would be more like 60 or something like that. So, and he like
That's
maxed out credit
fascinating
cards.
idea.
Yeah, sold his collections of like comic books, just maxed out credit cards, and like had his mom make catering food for the crew and everything.
Wow.
And yeah, and just like rolled with it.
What's it about? What's like the story of it?
It's about two guys that work in a convenience store.
But like just hanging out?
Yeah,
or
it's
just...
a slice of life, like, because it's low budget, like
Uh-huh.
all they can really do is it's people talking. And it's almost kind of like
Cool.
an anthology of different segments, things that happen throughout the day.
like a midnight gospel kind of thing almost?
Midnight Gospel's like, I could see the parallel because it's kind of contained and it's like,
Yeah.
it's one long, like a podcast.
Yeah, like a podcast.
Think of it like, you ever seen Friday?
No. I'm so uncultured with film, bro. I've seen like negative movies.
Think of it like it's one day in the life as you working at your job and all the mundane and weird things that happen. So it's like somebody coming up and they're like, she's like, how much does this thing cost anyway? And it says like 25 cents right above her head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's
Anyway,
so sick
shit
though.
like that. And it's like the mundanities of life, and
Mhm.
that's what I like appreciate about in movies. I don't like stuff that's just in general. I don't love like, I'm not attracted to big budget like superhero movies or whatever. Which
Mhm.
I know everybody says that. Everybody's like, superhero movies are lame, whatever. But I like slice of life like stuff like that.
And then also with Gloves On, like we watched a lot of movies. We watched was it Raging Bull like the couple nights before we started writing the script, just to get inspiration for like the boxing imagery and shit. And then also like Rocky's like a good ass movie that we took from like with the sweatsuits that we had.
Yeah.
Yes. So we definitely do pull from the movies to answer your question.
Do you think, or are you talking about Clerks and then the movies you just mentioned? What about those movies you think you brought to kind of the aesthetic of the new era, the black and whites and the, the things like that, and just like all the consistency of it, even the font of like the word the new era feels very cohesive with everything.
Yeah. Well, for Hit the Ground Running, like we generally took shots or like homages straight up from the movie. So just like references, pure like references. And just like the idea that in the video we're working in the convenience store.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that kind of was taken from that. And the song's about working. So we just thought that was a cool way to represent it. But I guess other aesthetic parts, like what do we get like other parts, things from
like the new era like font or whatever.
Yeah.
We kind of just like made that. Yeah. We just like made it and we liked how it looked, and then we were just like, okay, make everything cohesive. Let's do everything.
Yeah. But we were actively searching for like, we feel like a lot of great moments in music and like Brat, for example. Brat, when you think of Brat, you think of the songs, but you also think of a movement that was carried through an aesthetic. The neon green and the certain text and like the low grade looking thing of it, like a screenshot. And so we were like, a lot of our favorite albums have like, it's like, oh, this is the era where I'm using this font and this color. Yeah. So like we had to try to come up with something that's like our trademark look.
And like the imagery and like aesthetic of our next projects, like we want to have it all be tied to that era only. Yeah.
You're saying like so like once this era is over, it's gonna be a whole new vibe around.
Yeah, a whole new vibe.
The newer era.
Exactly.
The next era.
That's a very like it makes sense you guys reference to Kanye. That's a very Kanye thing. He did that a lot with like different eras. Tyler, I think, is another artist who did that like massively with like each new project. He was creating like a whole different world, and I definitely see the influence there because like it feels like. And I think this is how it should feel. It's like the project isn't just the music, it's everything that comes with it. And especially in this digital age, right, where like you're releasing 1,000 TikToks and a bunch of music videos and a bunch of pictures with every single rollout. You have to find some way to make the world come through in a way that's deeper than the music. It's like an era, I think Tyler does that incredibly well, bro.
It's how you connect and market with. And if you're a young independent artist, like you just have to be crafty about how you're gonna do it, and like it's not like it should. I don't know. I love marketing because I feel like it's just part of the art, and it's part of like me communicating more the world of the song. Let me show you how the song looks and smells and tastes.
I think even when we were making the merch for like the shirts that we made for the project, I think we were talking a lot about like okay, how would a person that likes our music look or dress?
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like our weird
cropped
shirt and like
boxy.
One of the
big
ideas
graphics.
before we went with the black and white, like we actually talked a lot about doing colors, and like we wanted it to be like gross, like neon colors, like neon green, like that's like super
Some of those are like on the
ugly.
album cover, right?
Yeah.
Some of the
The
pinks and
color
stuff.
bursts, yeah, because it's supposed to be like we're
Yeah.
breaking through the wall of the industry, and it's like we're
Yeah.
bringing color to the game.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing. It's like going back to like how I don't exactly remember how to explain it, but like Brockhampton, we feel like was like the last really powerful, positive youth movement in rap music, and a lot of stuff now.
Yeah.
A lot of what great rap music and the
Super
movements.
villains.
Of
There
the
probably
culture.
is one right now that we don't know will be great,
Yeah,
which is cool to think
yeah,
about.
that is true.
Yeah, and it might be us. But like, think of,
Or
like-
EBK Young Jock,
who's
Young
that?
Jock.
Sac legend,
Oh fuck yeah!
Oh shit.
I don't know.
Stockton legend, not
Stockton
Sac.
legend.
Oh,
Sorry,
okay,
shout out
that's why.
Stockton.
Stockton.
But
Sorry, I totally cut you off there.
But like, think about like the great stuff going on in rap culture right now. What's like the priority and the messaging is like not caring and being nonchalant and being mysterious and having
Super
aura.
villain shit.
Being a super villain.
We're trying
but,
to be
like,
superheroes.
where the superheroes at, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why we felt like that's something we thought we could bring that's different, you know? Is like that kind of our distinctly who we
Yeah.
are instead of
like
trying to fit in.
It's cool to try hard. Like that's the message that we want to
Yeah.
put on.
Yeah.
It's like it's cool to care about shit.
That's what the
like,
new era is.
That's a
Yeah.
rock. Who said that?
Love.
ASAP Rocky, right? Where he was like, it's really. He was like, it's lame that no one gives a fuck. Like, it's cool to give a fuck.
Yeah.
It obviously is.
We
I think
love
it
giving
is,
a
yeah.
fuck. That's how the best shit gets made.
Right, and
Yeah.
I even think like I love aesthetically a lot of stuff that I hear, and then I'm like, I just would have been better if they picked something to talk about. You know, like you can still have your type of flows and like what makes you
Yeah.
unique, but if you stayed on topic, the song would actually stick with me way more,
Yeah.
resonate deep in my soul.
Yeah,
you know?
it's interesting. Like it's weird with rap music. Sometimes it gets to this place where it's like the genre is so driven by stories, but sometimes the stories get diluted in just the words you're saying rather than what they mean.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's really easy to just become somebody who's saying a ton of shit, but you're not really. You know, you're throwing a bunch of words at the screen, but you're not really saying anything.
I
And that-
think
yeah.
and a good example of that is the song "Nothing Like You" by Netspan. We fucking love that song so much.
Yeah.
God, I love that.
We
song.
love it, and like there's so many feelings that's packed into the instrumental, but and I love the song already, but if he went a different direction, Netspan, with like just like more intention and just like he could have chose like any topic to really dive into, and like the song is great as it is right now, but if he directed his energy more, I feel like he could be
They want the vape. Sorry to interrupt.
the domer.
Anyway,
The domer.
That's what we call it.
The domer is
the
crazy.
cream. They're fiending for the
Good
cream.
catch.
They want that cream, baby.
Yeah, that's the worst flavor.
Do you guys think there's any truth to people who say things, but like even if they don't mean a ton, it's how they say them? It's interesting. I think McGee's a cool example of this, where it's like sometimes like I don't know what the fuck he's saying, and I don't know what the hell he means, but just the way he says it, the why me? It's like the passion in it sometimes.
No, there's
100%.
definitely I don't know the word. Is merit the right
Yeah.
word?
Yeah.
There's definitely merit to that, and it's like I feel like Frank Ocean is my favorite artist of all time probably,
It's a good pick.
but he does that all, like his music is so abstract and like what he says doesn't make any sense, but you can feel like that there's intention behind it.
You still get the
you know what
general
I mean?
idea. Like you somehow you get it what the song is.
Yeah,
about,
like you know exactly what it's about, even though he's saying random shit, and that's why I love that.
Yeah.
And it's like,
So that's definitely a thing.
yeah, like and Netsman does that on Nothing Like
You. There's different types of storytelling. It doesn't always have to be exactly
Yeah.
telling them what is happening. It
Yeah.
can just be like throwing out vignettes of the feeling.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Vignettes
Thanks,
of the feeling. It's like spurts of it's like spurts of things that make you feel like how the person was feeling at that time, but that person might not necessarily be telling you how they felt at that time.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times, dude, artists that are able to translate emotion through just things that are not like driven pointed stories, those in my eyes are some of the craziest lyricists.
Yeah, I love it.
Like I think like Brian Seller from the Front Bottoms is a cool example of this because he says stupid shit. Like there's I don't remember what Front Bottom song it was, but I used to listen to Front Bottoms when I was a kid, my brother a lot, and he like hated them. And there's this one, I don't know what song it is, but he says this one thing where he just says like red extension cord under the carpet. I don't know what song it is. My brother always would just make fun of that, and he'd be like, "What the fuck does that mean?"
Yeah.
And part of me is like, I don't know, but
Yeah.
like it it makes me it makes me think of a certain room and a certain kind of person in a certain room doing a certain thing for this reason.
It's all vibe.
Yeah, it's a vibe, exactly.
What do you think about please fall asleep so I could take pictures of you and hang them in my room?
Please fall asleep so I can take
That's
pictures
the first thing you hear on his first album.
In my room.
What song is it again?
'Cause when you wake up, it's all right. I am here. I am. Hey.
That came later.
No, it's on the subtitle. It's the first. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's the first song. It's fucking. Take pictures of you and hang them in my room. So when I'm gonna look it up.
This is for the Lions.
Of our friends' bodies.
Yeah.
And the
water comes.
It's Flashlight.
Flashlight. I wouldn't guess that.
Dude, that album is so cool because it's like the Front Bottoms take on an acoustic album, and it's their first project because it was like they didn't fully understand how to use their resources yet.
It's two of them.
Yeah, it's just the two of them, which is super sick. Map, the song after that, is really cool too. Like the vocal inflections. There's a map in my room. But you're right. Like it's like more or less he's translating like a vibe and like a feeling, and like even if you don't understand or know what the fuck he's even saying, he's saying like. He's translating a feeling, which I think is almost more pointed and more impressive lyricism instead of just telling a story point blank.
He's talking about all the shit that's like cohesive and around it, and he just makes you understand like, oh, that's what it's about right there in the middle. That's kind of vague, but I get it.
You don't want to tell a story in a straight line. You want to go all around and
I think it's a good way to put it. A friend of mine named Richard, I feel like I reference this too much, but he always talks about this idea that like when you are having like anxiety or like unresolved conflict in your life or just any just overwhelming feelings in general, they kind of exist in your brain in like this weird like web, right? Like one might be over here, one solution might be over here, one thought might be here, one might be here, and they're not really like weaving together correctly. But when you sit down with like a pad of paper and a pen and you write all those thoughts together, it kind of gives them context. It's putting them in order rather than just like having them exist in this bubble in your brain and kind of just floating around willy-nilly, Yeah.
That is cool because I feel like every song I write starts like that. Yeah. I know I'm gonna say that. I gotta connect these somehow. Yeah.
That's a cool idea too. Like in a song, figuring out like where everything needs to go. It's like I want to say this, this, and this, but in what order and how.
Yeah.
That's super huge.
I usually come up with like there's like a line. I'm like, oh yeah, that line. I'll just say it over and over again. I'm like, I gotta figure out where this goes.
Is it usually the hook that comes to you first, or usually like I want to write a verse about this, and then the hook comes after? What's kind of the order that you guys kind of think of songs usually?
I feel like
let's take it song by song.
Yeah, it depends. Like for Hit the Ground Running, came up with the hook for that like right off the bat, and then worked on the verse later. But for a lot of the songs that we make, I feel like I usually do a verse first.
It usually starts with you do a verse first.
Yeah.
With Gloves On, you had the beat and a bunch of versions of it, different themes. It's kind of an interesting way that song came about.
I couldn't figure out for the longest time, like, because I wanted that to be one of my solo songs for a long time, but then I could not figure out what to do with it, and I just like didn't know which direction I wanted to go in at all. And then Brandon literally, I sent him the beat, and he was like, "Yo, you have to check this out." Like he like came up with this whole theme and like idea and direction for the song. I was like, okay, yeah, that's perfect.
The thing is, I actually struggled with it first too, because I first went about it with a verse that's not on the song, and then I ended up going, okay, I'm gonna do a hook now, and I came with the Gloves On hook, and then because of that hook, I was like, wait a second, I kind of want to go back around and make this about, like this like absurd idea of like you have haters, so you're gonna like challenge them to fight you, like, physically. So then I wrote a second verse, and then that ended up just being my verse in the song. So. And then erased my first verse and had Jimmy wrote a new one with the context of the song. So
gotcha.
Like, there's so many demos, different versions,
literally
totally different ideas that he did.
Like
for that song.
I explored religion on that song, and like
I didn't know
talking about birthdays and like
Silly Season.
Yeah, Silly Season was the original idea.
Silly Season.
But I thought that was like a too lame of idea to make a whole song about it.
Like basically saying that it's silly season.
Yeah, it's like just get silly.
Nah, that's deep.
Yeah,
I feel that.
Well, no, we could have explored it for sure.
Yeah, no, yeah,
there'd definitely be.
And I'm still a proud supporter of Silly Season, but
we're silly guys.
Yeah, dude, it could have been Silly Season. You never know.
It's not the right time. Yeah, it's not the right time.
Jimmy, are you producing most of the stuff, or is it like usually collaborative production?
Yeah, I think I produce and engineer a lot of it.
Gotcha. Do beats come to you from life experiences, or do beats come to you just like sitting in the studio, laying something down, figuring it out?
It depends. I mean, both really. A lot of the times it'll be like I'm feeling some type of way and I want to get it out, and like I want to write some shit, but I need a beat to be on. So I get in the studio. I'm like, okay, playing with a bunch of sounds. I'm like, I like this one. It's like, oh, this makes me feel exactly like. Basically, in my head, there's like a soundtrack playing to whatever's happening in the moment, and I'm just like trying to put it on there. And then
it's like soundtracking a feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like to. I don't know. I feel like having the strong feeling connected to me is like the best. And like a lot of the newer music I focus on, music that's not out yet, I focus on that a lot. Yeah. Doing that.
You guys keep referencing. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, to kind of go back to the point of like how he starts songs and I kind of help finish them. The one song that we did the opposite process was Sack Disease, where I started the song and he helped me finish it.
Gotcha.
So that's the one that I'm more the main producer on. And then, but usually for all the other songs, it'd be like he sends me the beat and then we, you know,
work on it from
there.
Yeah,
add more parts.
That's a tight workflow. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Was that refined over time? Like, did it start like that? Has it always been like that, or did you guys kind of get to the place where that became the workflow?
I think that's always been the way for music, at least. Like and Foong, it was that way. Hit the Ground Running. Schmeat World, Gloves On.
Yeah, and kind of like the two songs that were intended for the project originally were And Foong and Schmeat World.
Yeah.
And then we were kind of like, since we decided to make a project, we kind of went through songs that had already been started that weren't intended really for me to be on, and we kind of like worked on those.
Yeah. A lot of the songs on the New Era project were beats I wanted to put on my first solo project, but I didn't want to use them for that because I just wanted to go with a different theme or whatever.
Evolved past them in a way.
And then he like revived them with putting a new theme and shit on it.
Yeah. And like some added instruments and things like that.
You guys keep referencing like this idea that you guys have a bunch of solo stuff. I guess not an idea, but the fact that you guys have all this solo stuff made too, like individually. And I was curious about that because it was cool and interesting to me how like it wasn't like the New Era has its own Spotify page and its Instagram and stuff. It was always like Butane Baby and Brandon Mack, and it's just like plus, right? It's like Butane Baby plus Brandon Mack. Was that an intentional thing?
Yeah,
or just kind of
we didn't. A lot of people told us that we should have a group name or whatever, but we know for sure that we want to be seen as individual artists that are working together.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's all gonna make sense next year.
Yeah, next year we're planning on putting out so much music next year.
I think that's really cool though. I think it's really interesting that you guys don't feel the need to define it by a group name. I always talk about the Dijon McGee thing, where it's like Dijon and McGee aren't a group, but Dijon works on every McGee song and McGee works on every Dijon song, and that's just like how it works. They're like creative collaborators, but they aren't necessarily like a group. And I think that's really cool because you know that you can tell a story and you can tell a story in your own way. Maybe the other one brings something into it that you wouldn't have originally thought about, but it kind of creates this environment where like nothing needs to be defined. It doesn't have to be too deep, you know.
Exactly. And I think even with our solo stuff, I don't think either of us create anything that the other one doesn't hear like immediately, pretty much. Like we just kind of trade feedback and yeah.
Do your guys' solo music sound a lot like the New Era, or does it sound a lot different?
I think you can tell how it's like, oh, his solo music sounds like that and his solo sounds like that. It makes sense that together they sound like this. So and we're really excited for people to see that next year.
Right. So you'll hear like half what the New Era is, and then just more that direction. Yeah. For one of us, and the other. Does that make sense?
We say it again.
Like, if the New Era is comprised of us two, our brains coming together, you're gonna hear what our brains sound like separately, and you're gonna understand how that song plus that song would create that type of sound.
Yeah, gotcha.
Easy.
So it's like two parts coming together opposed to one thing that like is you two. It's like the sum of you two, kind of.
It's like when you meet some weird ass kid and then you meet his parents and you're like, oh, that's why he's like that.
Yeah.
The New Era is that weird kid.
Yeah.
Gotcha. That's such a cool way to look at it.
We fucked to make it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can we do that on camera?
No, yes, actually. I can show you the exact position.
That was crazy. No, that's super cool, though. I often feel like people who, like, really, really, really feel the need to make things like a group, or, like, really feel this need to, like, define everything as, like, you know, whatever maybe your guys' group name would be if you had it. That, I think, is more often the kind of thing that will fall apart, because it's like, rather than you two coming together, it's like you two already together. Yeah. You know, whereas like you could make a song and it could be something that you couldn't see yourself on, but you could just be there to support and help, and vice versa, you know?
Yeah. Most of his solo songs, I wouldn't even think to write on it or contribute to it at all. Just because I think there's clear separation between what is what.
Our solo music sounds so different together.
So
And
separate from, different from each other.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah.
And then you can definitely hear,
But
I don't know, when they're together, you can just hear like, oh, I don't know.
This makes sense.
I think we know when it's the right. We know when it's the right song for us to do together.
Yeah, for both of us.
Yeah. Or then there's stuff that's like, oh, do this for somebody else too. Because we individually produce and like to work with other people and all that. So
that's super cool.
Yeah.
Like there could be a day where there could be like a Butane Baby touring with Brandon Mack, and then the headliner is the New Era.
Dream.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like Watch the Throne tour type.
That
of
would
thing.
actually, that's a good ass idea.
Like that could be super sick. I know you guys said you've played some shows in SAC. Have you explored the live world with the new project yet? Do you want to play more shows?
Oh, definitely. We love performing.
We would have liked to have already been on tour by now, but there's high goals.
Yeah. Dude, keep setting them. Yeah.
Thanks. But
Shoot for the stars.
we haven't played outside of California. We haven't really played outside of Northern California.
Uh-huh.
So, but I think although the hometown shows are great and we love that people show up that already love us, we'd like to get on a bill opening for people who their fans could get our stuff, but they haven't heard of us yet.
Yeah.
We'll convert people.
That's the ideal tour, always. Especially if you're that confident in your live set where like I can convert somebody there into a fan, given the right audience. That's like the key for sure.
Yeah, we definitely can. I think we did that in our first show like in SAC, our first like real show in SAC at the Harlow's. Most of the people that was in that room, I feel like they definitely wouldn't like seek our music out, but after we performed, a lot of people came up and were like, oh, you remind us of Two Live Crew and like Beastie Boys, and like they fucked with the vibe. And then
but they would also say that but it's like on some different shit too.
Yeah.
It's really awesome because a lot of the stuff that we say in the studio of like, oh, I hope people say this about this, we like hear that in real time, like in real life. People will say it, it's like almost like, were you a fly on the wall in there? And that's like one of the most validating things because it's like, oh shit, what I'm trying to say is getting across.
That's so interesting. So many artists take that differently. Like some artists like hate it when you point out like influences you might see, and some love it. I think it just depends on the way you look at your craft.
Well, I definitely hate. I definitely hate when people compare us to other shit. But I mean, it's gonna happen like no matter what. It's just like hopefully they can see that there's other shit in there too.
I can definitely sympathize with those artists that feel that way because a lot of the time the people that will say you sound like whatever, like they are wrong. They are wrong, and it's because they're not very, I don't know how to say this nicely, but they're not really that evolved, and they only heard a couple surface level things, and so they're like, oh, this is like this. But it's actually
so it's good.
Not. Yeah, and also, but there's also another element where people are looking for something to compare it to, so then they can understand it.
Yeah.
Like, well, I like this, and this is kind of like this. Okay, so I can get this, because people a lot of times decide what they're gonna like based on how it's gonna make them look.
Yeah, I mean that's a human thing for sure. Yeah.
We all do it to a degree.
Yeah.
But the thing that I was saying before of like people seeing you kind of like and saying something that you said in the studio is like, I hope people get that this song is supposed to be communicating this, and I hope they get what we're doing with this style or like how we're pushing it or whatever, or like what like our aura in general. I hope they're reading it correctly.
Yeah, it's a hard balance, dude. I think in the studio, like trying to decide like how much you want / care about people understanding what you're trying to get across. Like it's hard, right? Like as an artist, like you want I would assume a lot of artists want certain things they make to be enjoyed in a certain way, but you also have like literally no control over like how people perceive things at the end of the day, and I guess you have to be happy they're perceiving them in the first place, but it's so difficult to like try to get that point across exactly how you want it. But I think some artists too are really good about like making just things that generally can appeal to like different groups of human beings, different experiences, different folks, and then like just allowing them to kind of live with it and create their own experience. And I think that's a really cool thing too.
100%. And I think that we don't desire for people for every single person to get what we're doing. But we want it to reach the people that it's for, and for them to have a passion for it. Instead of it just being like everybody agreeing that this is good, we want it to be like love and hate, like we were talking about before. So we are expecting people. If we wanted to make stuff for everybody to get, we'd make a different kind of music. I
totally get that, dude. Like I think it's almost sometimes better for somebody to hate something than have no feeling on it at all.
It 100% is. And the worst art is the mid art. It's not the stuff that's trash. The stuff that's trash is
trying something different.
And so sometimes that will actually push things like Captain Beefheart. You know what that is?
Yeah.
Trout Mask Replica.
Captain what?
Captain Beefheart.
Trout Mask Replica.
Beefheart.
Oh, I thought you said Captain Beef Fart.
No.
Him too.
It's a very out there rock album.
Oh, okay. I haven't heard it.
Was like like magazines wrote it as like the worst album of all time.
Yeah.
And it's grown to be like revered and loved by a whole generation of new people.
My thing for that is probably Drain Gang. I was like a hardcore drainer for a long time, and people fucking, you either hate them or you love them. So
yeah.
And I loved them for a long time.
It's specific, and that's what you have to respect.
Yeah. True.
I want a million different really specific artists getting a lot of resources to do whatever crazy shit they want to do.
Yeah.
You know? But that's
individuality.
We need to embrace individuality. And that means individuality of thought too, not just like of sound, but like we should embrace stuff that we don't agree with and stuff that we just think is horrible. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I agree to a degree. I think there are certain, yeah, for sure. And I mean, obviously there's like levels to everything, but like there's certain things that just like are blanket bad things for sure. But like,
I came out. I know what you understand the political implications.
I totally feel it.
I didn't mean more musically.
Of course, of course. And I agree with you totally musically. Like I think, dude, like one of the, I think most great things I'm most grateful for is like my dad exposing me to like a bunch of different music growing up. Like it was never one thing. I never really thought about shit in terms of genre. I don't really think genre is an important thing. I really don't. I mean Mario says this all the time, but I think like a good song is good in any genre, and I think that's very, very, very true. Like if you could write like what is like objectively one of the greatest songs of all time that everybody would agree with? Let's say like
Hey Jude.
Yeah, Hey Jude is a good example of this, right? Hey Jude could be a rap song, and it would still be a undeniably incredible song for sure, right?
Some things kind of mix like oil and water, though. Don't you think? Like, like I love Weezer and I love Kanye, but going back and forth between them, I get whiplash, you know?
Yeah, I mean that's like listener fatigue for sure. Yeah. But I also think just like I don't know, like the lines blur so much, and like just historically all art is born out of other art, and like especially in the world of music, dude, like everything is just an evolution of the things that happened prior to it. So for that reason, I don't know, I just feel like genre kind of puts these weird limitations on shit where it's like this is a rap rock record, or like this is a 90s hip-hop album, and it's like is it that, or is it like bigger than that, or is it like some weird crossroads between 12 different things? I think everything for the most part is like a weird crossroads between a bunch of different shit.
Yeah, I hate that shit. And it's like I feel like when at least I'm making music, the shit that I pull from, like I'm a rapper, I guess, but the shit that I pull from is not rap. Like I love. Yeah,
I noticed that you guys, a bunch of your influences and references are not like in the rap world.
Yeah, like one song that's a good example is like Exit Music for a Film off of OK Computer.
Great song.
I fucking love how grand that song feels, and I try to recreate like the feeling or whatever that comes from that song in a rap song. But
yeah, in the same way that our artistic trajectory is informed by the stuff that we did that's non-musical beforehand. You know, it kind of goes in the same way. And genre plays less of a role in my life than it ever did. You're right.
Yeah.
I don't think about it. But actually, as a kid, I came up through studying genres. Like I was going down the pipeline of specific
genremap.com.
This scene. Oh, what's that?
It's like this weird website that just like you click. So it has like, I think it has like rock, like rap, folk, and like jazz, and then classical, I believe. And then you click one of them and it goes to like the hundreds of possible subgenres. Nice. My roommate Suki is like obsessed with the Spotify algorithm, and he shows me a bunch of weird websites like this where it's like talks about like all the thousands of subgenres that like Spotify and a bunch of the DSPs use to like label things for playlists and stuff. And so many of them are like not even genres. So many of them are just like moods. Like one will be like sad rap or like happy rap, like
vibe.
Yeah, like vibe, good vibe.
Bad vibe. I want to listen to the bad vibe music. Whatever that genre sounds like.
My genre, bad vibe music.
Scaring the hose.
Yeah, that's super cool that I think you guys like come from a lot of influences that are not like necessarily in the rap world. And talking about your live set a bit more, I know you guys were talking about how much you want to go on tour and stuff like that. I saw some videos of your guys' live set, and I saw you play the live guitarist and stuff. Growing that setup and kind of getting to the place where like you figured out what you wanted to sound like live and what you want your setup to be, what was that process like? Did you always know you wanted to play with live instruments? Do you want to get to a place where you want to play with a band? What do you kind of want to expand into in the future?
That's a great question.
Thanks.
I don't know. I think I don't really remember like what our original idea was for performing, other than just like, oh, we have to get the energy like way up. Yeah, and then watching back the footage of like our first show, we're so mad, and it was just like, this is so terrible, it sounds so bad. Second show, we learned from it, and it was like
hard on ourselves.
No, but like it was a learning process for sure.
It's literally changed every show, so I
Yeah.
would say we
Which
still
is
haven't
awesome.
figured it out.
Yeah.
But we literally,
getting there.
yeah, we don't have a solid set that we're like it's reliable to do every time. We're literally always trying things, and it's pros and cons to that because there's room for error when like we could play it safer, you know.
Yeah.
I think we're definitely figuring it out, and this is the time to do it before like we could get a bigger opportunity, you know. So kind of like playing around with it. We had the guitarist join us on our 4th show.
And now we're thinking about adding a drummer to the show.
Yeah. For certain sets, and part of that is because we can open for rock acts and rap acts. We can kind of modify.
That's
the
huge.
set.
Yeah.
I think it opens things up a lot.
Dude, booking agents will love you for that. Booking agents will adore you for that. That
We
place.
took inspiration from that from Euthanasia.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Shout out Euthanasia, the goats,
Love
bro.
them.
Yeah.
My favorite band.
Yeah, one of my
Literally
favorite
my
bands
favorite
for
band.
sure. Some of my besties. Love those guys.
Yep.
Sleeping on this couch right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you guys are sleeping where Roderick's
is that what
tent
that
is.
saying
fart
is
right
from?
here.
Yeah, this smells like Roderick.
Oh yeah, what does that motherfucker smell like? If you could describe it.
Really good,
Oh, no, yeah.
hygienic for sure.
Do they snore?
He does always smell good. No, he's very quiet sleeper.
Wow,
They're all very quiet sleepers.
He's just a fucking perfect dime then.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
he's just so
A dime.
handsome and adorable and such a good musician.
He does hand you he tells you, hey, here's a bag of snacks I got you for the interview, and you open it up and it's human hair. There's human hair in the bag.
Not just a human, it's
Yeah.
Ty Walsh Designs
Yeah,
hair.
creature.
TWD's hair.
Yeah, that isn't even a person.
Oh, why is it sitting there? Oh,
It was in that bag, so where did it go?
yeah, it was in there at some point.
Put it back on his head, or
They're gluing that shit back on.
right now.
That's super sick though, dude. Like, I
I
mean,
got so high last night, he was crying.
what?
Well, I don't know if I should say. You cut that out. My bad.
Oh,
Sorry.
no,
No,
no, it's
it was-
okay.
but it was like involuntarily cry. Like he's like, dude, I don't know what's going on, but it's just streaming down his
Really?
I
face.
get like that when I do shrooms.
That's
Studio.
beautiful.
Huh?
I get like that when I do shrooms.
Yeah, shrooms are awesome.
But like
Make you feel
sometimes like there'll be times where I'm crying in an emotionally like beautiful way, and then there'll be times where like my eyes are just watering and there's no reason why, it's just happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it always feels good.
It does
feels
always
good.
feel good,
Yeah.
bro. Like the best cry possible.
Yeah, even when you're crying because like you're yawning so much.
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
Yeah.
Just like the water and just like letting it, like not wiping it away. and it's just, like,
Underrated feeling, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's like
Crying
a
is so
sensory
awesome.
thing for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't cry enough. I feel like nobody cries enough, but
Especially
when I-
men.
yeah, and like when we get the chance, you just gotta fucking let that shit happen.
Dude, I'm crying all the time. I can't
That's-
relate.
yeah, this
I'm
close
awesome.
crying all the
cry.
time.
He
But
does
that's
cry a
dude,
lot.
that's beautiful.
I cried this morning watching Entourage. Like I had to hold it back. It's like they just love each other so much, and like I was with my boys and my entourage, you know, so I just
Aw.
saw myself in their journey.
That's so
and I was holding it
cool.
back because Kayla's sitting next to me, like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen next. And I'm just like, fuck.
Fuck, dude. I love you guys.
Yeah, right?
That's beautiful, bro.
And you
I
say that, and then you get roasted.
nah, dude. I think the strongest people I know, especially men, cry a lot. I think
Yeah.
some of the weakest people I know refuse to cry or like choose to act like their emotions don't exist. I think as a musician
that.
too, that really plays to your downfall. I think you
Yeah.
have to be so
You have to be,
emotionally in
so
tune.
expressive and shit. That's like your whole fucking job, or not job, like what you want to do. Your
Yeah.
whole mission is to express.
The thing is, you're
yourself.
extremely expressive and emotional, but you don't cry.
Yeah, I don't really cry that much because I don't know what it is. Because like I used to cry all the time actually until like high school, and then I just like couldn't cry. Even if I really wanted to, I would just get like really bad chest pain and shit instead. But more
it's worse.
recently, yeah, I think slowly, like over the past like 5 years, I've cried like probably 5 times.
You're getting back in the crying
Yeah,
game.
I'm getting back in the crying game, trying to lock back in and shit.
It's a
But-
good release. I don't know. I when it comes up, I let it happen.
Yeah,
let it
dude.
come out.
The worst thing you can do is fight it.
No, yeah.
I wish it came up for me more. I don't cry enough. I should cry more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think
to
it's bad
cry
to
about.
make yourself cry.
Oh yeah. I could cry on command a little bit, but I have to just like make a really sad face and the tears will come out.
Just like if I do that long enough, I'll just start crying.
Yeah.
Even sometimes if it's not physical tears.
Uh-huh.
Recently, I've been practicing embracing loneliness.
Mm.
Yeah. So like, when I feel lonely, I'll like
Yeah.
purposely go like, okay, I'm gonna isolate myself right now.
Do you like being alone?
Yeah, I always have for sure, and yeah, I've always felt very comfortable being around myself. Like, I'm going to a concert by myself in a couple days. I'm gonna go see Weezer.
I love going to shows by myself.
Yeah. What do you like about it?
I think that when you go to a concert with other people, you gotta like like you gotta show up when they want to show up. If you want to go to the bathroom, you gotta lose your spot. Like, I think small shows it's fine, but I think like bigger shows, dude, like I love going alone because like if I want to drink, I drink. If I want to like dance, I dance. If I want to mosh, I mosh. If I want to go take a piss, I go take a piss. Like if I want to go to the front, I'm there. If I want to be in the back, I'm there. Yeah, if I cuddle everybody, I cuddle everybody. It just happens, you know. Yeah, but like
you can do that with the homies too, though.
Yeah, it's shit, dude. That's how it goes.
I love social stuff, and I love my friends so much. But like, there's sometimes you gotta know this is one where I'm gonna be alone. And like Weezer is a really important band to me, like because of what I said earlier, right? And so I've always gone with somebody else.
Yeah.
And this time I bought a ticket alone, and I'm sitting where I want to sit. I don't have to worry about whatever. And I'm really gonna have a spiritual experience.
I saw Bright Eyes by myself, and it was like one of the best nights of my life.
Oh, you were telling me that they're your favorite, right?
My favorite band of all time. Probably. If not the, definitely one of. I love Bright Eyes.
Bright
Eyes.
A lot. Yeah. What kind of music is that?
It's kind of like folk rock, but like sad folk rock, but like obviously like folk rock. But there's also like a lot of the earlier stuff is like singer-songwriter stuff, and they have a project that's like more on the electronic side of things. They kind of go all over the board, but like the glue that holds it together is like just Connor Oberst's like incredibly vulnerable and honest songwriting and like atrocious voice.
I love that vulnerable songwriting.
Yeah, it's beautiful, bro.
I've been trying to do that more often. Like just like writing for new shit that I'm doing, because it's hard for me to be vulnerable, you know. But I'm trying to get into it.
Is it difficult with? Because I assume like you guys are always working together and being in the studio with other people. Is it difficult in the studio ever to like show that level of vulnerability around other people, opposed to like it being easier by itself?
And that's why we don't do it.
Yeah, we just it's most of the time just us in the studio.
Or literally solo. Like I think we come together when it's like there's a physical action that needs to be done. Like we need to record this, but writing is always our writing always comes out better alone. Yeah, I think production always comes out better separately. Like like it's your turn, my turn, whatever, or it's you start something, And I still can't get into the thing of like hella people being in the room. And like other artists and then like
especially if they're not working on the song.
Yeah, it's like you feel like you have to host for them or whatever, and it's just like super distracting.
Also, performing your
creation, performing. Like,
how could anything possibly come out good? I don't personally get it.
When you're throwing out every single idea, it's just like hard when there's other people in the room that won't understand that you're just going through ideas. And it's just like annoying to like have to worry about them. Yeah. So we just try to do
like
it
getting bored or like being like, why have you spent 35 minutes finding a snare sound? Or like,
why are you fucking singing into the microphone in that weird voice for so long? Like stop doing that.
Yeah, dude, because I mean most people look ridiculous recording.
Oh yeah.
Also, I just feel like I'm not very good at anything that I do. So I feel like I'm gonna be.
That's always a good place to be, though.
Like, yes, yeah. I'm gonna be very inhibited from trying anything new. I'm probably just gonna try to make something that sounds hard, so everybody in the room has a good time.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And that's not supposed to be the goal.
You're almost like like kind of what you said, like hosting and like putting a show on almost. Yeah.
Some people are really effortless at doing it. Like last night, the guys all just like, but like I had to stay away from the action when they were all making the song. I kind of went in my own corner. Yeah. I came when it was my time.
But even then, like that's all artists and shit. Like they all know the process. It's like, but when it's like random people,
it's like homies in the studio or whatever.
They don't understand what's going on. Yeah. You have to be like, oh, it's cool to be in the studio. You know what I mean?
And to a degree, we just have to admit that those people are lacking focus. Like you have to. Yeah. Is this like I don't know?
And, that's a hard thing to balance too. Like in the studio, like how focused do you want to be? Do you want to be there like for work, or do you want to allow some of the fun in? Do you want to allow some of like the playfulness and some of like the just the more silliness to kind of get in? It's a hard balance to strike, I would imagine.
I take making stuff really seriously, and I do it with the intention of like, because I only have so much time. Like I gotta go back to work, or I gotta go to sleep, and I'm already not eating or sleeping enough because of this. So it's like I don't know. I'll have fun, but let's schedule in fun. Let's go do something else. Like, and the studio costs money too, or whatever. So
for me, I don't know. I think I'm definitely not a balanced person, but I think I found a good balance of hanging out with people and also working at the same time, because I basically just work on music every time that I'm home, and then when I'm not home, I'm like with the homies or whatever, and then I can just like keep switching, like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with people, and then I go home for a little bit, work on music, and then hang out with someone for a little bit, and it's just like keep switching turns or whatever.
It's also an understated thing that you need to have like experiences to write about.
Oh yeah,
like you gotta like live life to make music,
And that's the problem with the consistency machine that they're trying to encourage. Partly it's true, and we're evolving our marketing and our like process to because like we put out an EP, but we realized that we would probably got more momentum if we had slow dripped singles.
Just waterfall release everything.
Waterfall release, yeah,
waterfall
exactly.
release. Just learned that word like a couple
Music
days ago.
industry.
Yesterday at 2 Lost.
Shout out to 2 Lost.
Yep.
Like 2 lost.
But
Goated distro.
for real. So we're evolving in a sense because you just want to have success, so you want to use the market how it's meant to be used, or like if we were only putting our music on CDs, like that's a stupid decision. So it's the same thing of like you have to evolve with the times, right? But there's also a degree that you should just do it your own way and say fuck all that. And the people will find you, and you'll be a better artist because even though it took longer, they're gonna like you for you, and they're gonna be devoted instead of like trying to get a lot of attention really fast. Like
that's the integrity that we were talking about earlier, is doing shit the way that you do it, even though it might make it easier to do it another way. It's just like that's part of your personality and your character.
Yeah, and so you can compromise who you are for success, but why would you do that?
Out.
Why not just work hard for longer, and like the people will find you, but it'll be more worth it. You'll have a sustainable thing built instead of trying to sound like somebody else or do it like somebody else. And get a lot of attention fast. Yeah,
no, 100%, dude. And it's like I also think there is literally no way to do that and then like exist a long time and then your true colors like not show eventually. Exactly. Like, dude, it's. I mean, I have a lot of respect for artists that like put on a character for like most of their career and like an artistic sense, because it's got to be so hard to like get on stage every single night and be somebody you're not. But there is also like incredible merit to that. Like folks,
that's different.
I think so too. Like folks who are putting on like a whole show when they're on stage, or just like in the studio, or like characters in their music and stuff. It's gotta be so difficult to like perceive that and like be that all the time. So I think that's one thing for sure. And then there's the aspect where it's like just trying to be somebody you're not, but not playing a character. And I feel like that is just like an impossible battle, bro. There's just no way you can do that for your entire career.
Yeah. And I feel like people can definitely see when you're doing that. It comes off like gross. It's just like, even though they're performing, like it's performative, and like everybody can tell that you're not like comfortable with yourself, and it's just turns people off from liking you.
You know, your own identity, and it's going to be revealed at some point because that trend is going to dissipate. You know?
Like being a faker or some shit. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, no, 1,000% for sure.
A faker.
Yeah.
A poser.
Literally. What do you guys think is the biggest, because I know you said the project's something you've been working on for a very, very, very long time. It took up a huge portion of your life. It's like a whole chapter. What do you think is the biggest lesson that you learned front to back from making the project? What's the biggest thing you learned?
Just perfection shit. Like we worked really hard to perfect it, and it was like, we also learned like, oh, you can't be too perfectionist with it, or else it's never gonna come out, and you won't be able to move on from it. Because we could have totally kept working on that album for a lot longer.
I think on release day I was kind of pissed about how the mixes sounded.
So. I'm still kind of pissed about the mixes, but it's like that's our first project together. So, and like the next thing, it'll be great. Like we learned from it, you know.
Yeah, there's so many lessons, and it's almost feels like so long ago that it's hard to.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah,
because it was so long ago.
Yeah. But definitely to continue your point, is that there's got to be a balance between working hard and like finishing an idea and kind of getting crazy, like losing your mind. Like for example, we never go like one take. It's usually like 40, 50, 60 fucking doing a line over. Do I have to say it exactly this certain way? And a lot of times you end up kind of going with the old version. So, you know?
It's like, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but it's good that we explored all the options. Like, we love doing that.
Yeah, because then otherwise you kill yourself waiting every single day, be like, oh, what if I went with this, you know?
So funny, we'll have an idea at midnight, and then at 2 a.m. Some of these are documented on camera. At 2 a.m. one of us goes, wait a second, bro, actually
sounds like
nothing we did here was good. They're like, this idea makes no sense, and we're like, oh, we usually at the same time agree, like, oh fuck, let's go home. It's too late. It's fucking late.
Not in our right minds, this type shit.
That's a hard thing to get the balance of, like knowing when to walk away and knowing when to quit, because it can be so addictive. You're just on this high of like, what if I hit something in the next hour? What if I hit something in the next hour? But dude, I think there's a lot of truth and a lot of merit to the idea that like very often take number one is as true to the first emotion that you'll ever get. You know, like the very, very first take when you're feeling those things the most intense, because they do get diluted the more times you say them.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I think the emotions are so true. I mean, I feel bad for artists that like tour for years and years and years and are playing songs that like they wrote about when they were 25. Now they're 40.
Yeah, I think about that a lot actually. Like these famous bands, like System of a Down or whatever. Our friend saw them, and I was like watching the video that they posted of the performance. I'm like, wow, this song is like a classic, but I wonder what they think of doing this like all the time.
Yeah.
Because they probably used to love this song. Because I feel like that sometimes. Like I rarely listen to the music that we make after we put it out, and it's just like, damn, to listen to it that much years and years into the future, I can't even imagine that.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think that a lot of artists only have steam for so long, honestly. And so I think that they're okay with it. Like they're making a living, and they probably just don't have quite as high of ambitions as you do when you're younger. And that's why, I mean, what artists peak when they're old?
Yeah.
It doesn't really happen. So I think people just kind of get complacent in a way, but it's not even really a bad thing, because who says that every artist has to be constantly evolving and killing themselves to... Ty's staring at me. What's up, brother? Yeah.
TWD.
He's rocking the shade head, man, I gotta say.
Do you guys have a tell for when a song is done? Like, is there like is it a feeling thing? Is it different every single time, or like do you ever get to a point where like I know this is done? And if so, what point is that? How do you get there?
our final stages of making music is like, okay, we get the mix and everything done, and then we're like, okay, now we have to lay down the finalized vocals. And I think
Vocals come after mix?
Yeah, because I mean we record in my bedroom most of the time, and then once we are like, okay, everything's good. Well, there's like the vocal mix too. So
that's what you're talking about. Yeah, instruments.
I'm talking about like, okay, we finished the mix on the whole song, we finished all the structure and everything. We lay down the final vocals because there's already vocals on it, and then we complete the vocal mix. And then once that's done, I think that's when we decide it's good.
But what about sending it to Ben?
Yeah, that's what I mean by like getting the vocal mix good.
Ben.
Yeah.
Ben's our mix and master guy.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Beshkin.
Yeah.
I think that process with mixing can be especially hard because, bro, you can sit at something and remix it literally 1,000 times, and like you can be at a certain point like dealing with audible like variables that nobody will pay attention to or hear or even be able to detect but you. But I think there is a lot of truth as a musician of like really needing to get to that place where you're like, oh, like I did this, I'm here, this is it, I'm done, you know?
Yeah, a simple mix is usually, I guess, gonna be better. I don't know. Yeah, or like just not thinking about it too hard because you'll actually probably fuck it up.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Especially like just the different variables, like where you are when you listen to something. Like if you're in the car, it sounds entirely different. If you're, on monitors in the studio, it sounds fully different. It's like trying to find the one thing that fits all those settings correctly. And not only those settings, like not only audio settings, but like where you are on the day.
Yeah.
You could have had a shitty day at work and something can sound entirely different than it may sound if you had a great day at work.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we're working on these songs, mostly it was at the end of the night, already not having enough sleep. We're both working all day at day jobs.
Yeah.
We're like, we would usually start our sessions at 8 or 9 p.m. go to like 2 in the morning. So
Jesus.
That was like but dude, I wanted to say I missed that. That was so fucking fun.
Yeah.
Everything was so curious, and like, it's gonna be again like where it is always with new stuff. But I just thinking about that time, the lock in that I felt like was unlike anything before.
And we were learning so much shit.
Yeah.
Sending shit back and forth for like our mix and master guy.
And every night just like linking up at the same place and working on this thing, it felt so epic. And like we knew that we were on a, like we couldn't wait for it to get done. We couldn't wait to finish it. But
or like what might I get the next day,
Right. And even though we couldn't wait, we really knew that it's only gonna be worth it if we take our time. So we already realized, because we dropped Enfong, we didn't know what to do next really. We were like, all right, well, we're in this space. It's already been too long of not dropping anything, but let's just embrace that now and make a really good project.
Yeah.
To finish it. So
yeah, dude, 100%.
So a year and a half after the first single came out, But I think it doesn't matter because hardly anybody's heard it anyway. Still feel that way. We're probably going to be marketing these songs for years, honestly. I don't know.
Definitely.
So,
definitely.
Is that an intimidating thing? Like, is that scary or is that exciting?
What?
The idea that you're gonna marketing stuff for every single day for the next like
I feel
years.
We love it. Yeah,
that's cool.
It's like oh, we still have these things to show people like when we're not doing new stuff, and even during new stuff, it's like oh, we have so much shit to show you. We like that a lot.
We're gonna keep stacking up new songs and building our catalog, but the fact that we know that we have great shit that we're resting on as well, like
foundation.
That Enfong music video. Every time we run ads on it, even though it's over 2 years old now, it still gets a huge pop, and like so we know that like we can always rely on stuff that's old, and we can keep trying new things.
That's super encouraging, dude. Like, the idea that like there's I think my friend Paco said this to me one time, where he was saying like, why would you make a song, or maybe it was Vinny from Grave Secrets, I don't remember who it was, but he was saying like, why would you make a song that took, or a project for that matter, that took a year or took like months and months and months, and then market it for like a day? Like, why would you just throw it up on Instagram and say this is out right now if you took that long of a time to like make the thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a very difficult thing, I think, too, to like put all that creative energy into like making the actual track, and then once you're done with the track, like wanting to market it, or like even being still as excited about it to the point where like you think you can authentically market it. It's very difficult to do both, I think.
Because you could literally put out the greatest song of all time and no one would hear it unless you had money or you knew people.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense to just move on all the time. Like as a young artist, you're literally just wasting your art because
you should spend like at least like fucking 10 times as long as you did making the song promoting it.
Yeah.
Because that's like the most important part, like getting people to hear it. You know what I mean?
And Weezer has put out like 20 albums, but still the one that probably gives them the most money is their first album. They're putting out a 30th anniversary crazy deluxe version for it. So like, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As long as you're still evolving as an artist, you can still rest on your old stuff and have comfort in it and stuff like that.
It's like going home.
Yeah.
We know that even our most successful songs would have millions and millions of
millions
I don't know why I said it like Trump, but
millions and
millions and billions
of listens if we just had
so many listens,
the team and the money. So like we just know that if when we get some money, like it's up.
All that can come. Yeah. I mean, that's
like,
just a matter of time.
It's also it's like your music should be timeless. Like I think that great music is timeless. So it's like if you're just gonna promote it at this time, like that's stupid as hell. You should promote it forever. I think, you know what I mean?
You believe in it, yeah.
It frustrates me when people have great stuff and it's like you didn't make a video, you fucking told nobody about it, and it's like this is literally better than half the shit that's mainstream.
That frustrates me too, dude.
And I'm like, if you had me on your team,
that.
Hire
me.
Over.
No, I feel that, dude. That's so frustrating, especially when you see it in like a young artist and you're like, damn, dude, like this song is it. Like if you could just figure out a way to market this, like it could do amazing things. Like especially when you're like, it's a song that you think could really help people, and you're like, God, dude, like that's literally my entire mission statement. That's what I wake up every single day and think about when I'm trying to go to bed, is like these people who I think have music that could really help people or really could do a lot for people, and just sometimes no one's hearing it, and sometimes it's not even a fault of their own, you know.
That's your place in this all, and like, that's awesome.
Above the bridge.
We need music journalism outlets and people that are dedicated to that, and there's like, it's fucking awesome. We really appreciate what
Thanks,
you guys
man. I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it. Hell yeah. Last thing I want to ask, or I guess second to last thing, but the title of the project being The New Era, and it kind of like catapulting you guys into this new place in your life. Do you feel like there's something on this project? I mean, I think you already touched on this a bit, but there's something about this project that wove together seams that weren't there prior. Like, do you think you got to a place with this project that you think there's no going back from? Do you think things will like never be the same after this one?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, this was like we planned this to be like the start of our journey. So it's like everything else kind of relies on the new era as the start. You know what I mean? Like now that we have the new era out, we can break off from it and do other shit, and then we break off from that, and then like we already have like albums in the future planned for like we have like the next like 4 years planned out.
Sick.
With this being the start.
Yeah. And still leaving room to experiment and figure out what those projects are going to be, but we're at early stages of all those and everything, and like those have been consistent plans for like a while. So that's the answer pretty much of why we had to go with such a powerful title to really stamp our beginning, and every aspect was planned out. Like we had a lot of the, months and months on like the rollout, and like for months in advance of like the content, and just cultivating like the world. And so yeah, 100% this is the inception point of us as
the new era begins now.
Exactly, motherfucker.
It's super cool that there was like a planned beginning. I think a lot of artists just stumble into something, into discography.
But then we were like, okay, wait, there's something here.
Yeah. Luckily, it was something smaller that we like didn't lose like crazy momentum or anything from it.
Yeah, I think I actually spiraled into a depression months after the song because I felt lost 100%.
Yeah.
Felt really lost about what to do next.
I think it takes. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Out of money.
Yeah. I feel. I think it takes a lot of like lack of ego to be able to like take things down or like, you know, move on from things you did prior that you really at the moment believed in, you know?
Yeah, we're hustlers, and we know that anything that comes our way, we will literally turn it into what we like. Any bad thing that comes, we always turn it into a good thing.
Yeah, like pivoting on a dime always.
Pivoting is our strong suit, and it comes from just like the practice, artistic practice, like being artists, and just knowing that we will never drown.
We're overcomers.
Overcomers.
We will overcome everything.
Overthinkers.
We always overcome. We always come way too much.
Yeah. Like in the shower today, right, Jimmy? Or yesterday?
What?
Last night.
What are you talking about, bro?
Whoa.
Never mind.
So much cum in this interview.
That's our lives.
That never happened.
Shit.
Like, always talking about bodily shit. We're silly guys.
We wouldn't be. Where would we be without cum? None of us would be
nowhere.
here without cum.
To answer your question, nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. We'd be all in some balls somewhere.
Literally. We are all the strongest sperm cell that came out of
we're
our
winners.
father.
Shout out the Mack sack.
The Mack sack?
The Mack sack that I came from.
We all
Mack
came
sack.
from sack.
Macramento.
From sack.
Shit.
Macramento.
I came out of my dad's sack.
When he
ended
was
up
back in the
sack,
Chirac.
In Chirac. Ended up in sack.
Type. Brandon Mack and Butane Baby. Last thing I wanted to ask you, if you had like one message you think you could spread through the project, like you hope that listeners will get from the album, what would it be?
Be yourself.
Yes. You. How do I say this? You.
Be the best you. Be the most you that you could ever be.
Yeah. And don't let anybody try to limit you or change you.
Yeah.
Of what's great about you.
Trust your gut.
Exactly. And if you stand out, if you're different, that's a good thing. And you should
Be different.
You should be the best different of you that you can be.
Be the best different. That's fire. Thumbnail right there. Be
Just
the
do
best
it.
different.
Fuck your haters.
Fuck them literally.
But listen to criticism
Find a
for
way.
sure. You know. Anyway.
Beautiful.
Fuck everything.
The new era begins now.
The new era begins now. What?
Butane Baby, Brandon Mack. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This is an awesome conversation. I
Thank
really
you very
appreciate you
much.
taking the time to sit down with me.
How was that 2 hours?
I know, right?
Thank you,
Flew
Dante.
by.
Dude,
Flew by super
thanks,
fast.
Dante.
I
Really
appreciate
That
you,
was
man.
2 hours.
Thank you guys, bro. Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Tell them where they could stream the project. If you got anything coming up, where they could follow you, do all this stuff.
All motherfucking platforms. We got a music video coming out this month.
Yes. Oh, we
From the
didn't mention
Ashes.
that. Yep. Oh shit.
My favorite song of the project, I think.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah,
Oh
dude.
wait,
Love
shit.
it.
That was like a secret.
No, I mean, but this probably come
Okay,
out in
yeah,
weeks, right?
Yeah, probably. Feel
Yeah, so
Okay,
it might
cool,
even
cool.
come out with the video. That would be actually helpful.
Yeah. Go watch the music video. It just dropped.
Today,
What time?
Maybe, I don't know.
When's the video drop? Do you know?
October 26th.
Okay, we'll try to drop it on the same day.
25th.
25th.
All right.
Oh,
cool.
and where we can. I'm Draft Nuggets on Instagram.
Draft Nuggets. Butane Baby with 2 Y's.
Amazing
And
handle.
I'm a Z at the end of mine.
Draft Nuggets.
Thanks, bro.
Goated handle.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you guys. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Shout out James Drop Top, Mario Sosa, Ty
Bling,
Walsh
bling, bling,
Design,
bling, bling, bling.
Kale, CBDR1,
CBDR1,
How to Bleach Your
Blaze
Hair,
the Gummy.
Taylor Diggs,
The entire
Palette
city is
Radio.
Sacramento.
Dante,
Palette Radio.
Palette Radio. All right.
Tight shit. We out. Thank
The
you
new
guys.
era begins after.
Music matters. The newer era.